Zuan had been reborn. There was no betrayal, no abandonment by his girlfriend, nor being hunted down by a mob of strangers. His life had once been easy and comfortable. One night, he was drinking in a tavern, and when he opened his eyes again, he had returned to the launch day of Eternal Relic. The towering character creation interface floated before him. Huh, this is the character creation screen from Eternal Relic. Have I really been reborn? Zuan stared in shock. The moment Eternal Relic went live that day, it took the world by storm. Anyone who wore the game ring sold by the developer could teleport into Eternal Relic at will, embarking on a second life within that magical realm. Still, later on, Eternal Relic merged with reality. Rebirth might not even be all that strange. In my past life, I drew a god-tier talent. Yet without connections or insider knowledge, I only climbed to within the top 30 of the power rankings. This time, I'm aiming for first place. Within mere seconds, Zuan calmed his thoughts and quickly filled out the information to create his character. Nickname: Black Owl Race, Human. Character creation successful. Please draw your talent. Will it be the same as my past life? Zuan grew tense. If luck deserted him after rebirth and he ended up with the lowest F-rank talent, the road ahead would be far harder. He took a deep breath and tapped the draw option. Countless talent descriptions rolled wildly across his vision. They spanned every tier: gray F-rank talents, purple S-rank talents, and finally, the scrolling halted, revealing a golden god tier talent, the rarest and most powerful tier of all. Talent: Legacy of Creation God tier effect. Gather scattered law fragments across the world to unlock talents, classes, and more. Current collected fragments: none. The description was brief, yet those few dozen words promised boundless potential. This talent possessed no upper limit. With this talent, plus all the information I carry from my past life, this run will be even better than the last. Zuan clenched his fists in excitement. It was much like driving a Ferrari at 18 versus driving one at 48, two entirely different experiences. Obtaining law fragments in the early game was incomparably more valuable than acquiring them later. Lost in visions of the future, a notification box suddenly popped up. Detected: you possess a fragment of the Law of Death. Would you like to absorb this law fragment using the talent Legacy of Creation? Zuan froze. A fragment of the Law of Death? He had never encountered this in his previous life. Could it be tied to dying and being reborn? A rebirth bonus. Zuan selected yes. Absorbing law fragment. What will I get? A talent? A class? Or equipment? Zuan rubbed his hands expectantly. Wispy strands of death aura emerged from deep within his soul, swirled through the air, and flowed back into his spirit. Successfully absorbed the fragment of the Law of Death. Congratulations, you have awakened a god-tier talent. Talent: Hell Apostle God-tier effect 1 Soul Harvest. Defeat enemies whose level is equal to or higher than yours to harvest soul shards. Soul shards can strengthen your body and raise your maximum mana. Quantity gained equals the number of harvested souls times 1. Current soul shards. 0 effect 2 Death Retaliation. When you take damage, inflict true damage equal to 1 times incoming damage plus 5 times spell power plus 5 times bonus attack power upon your attacker. Whoa, the stats for this talent are insane even at level 1. And it deals coveted true damage. Zuan eyes lit up. Please select your starting class. The starting classes available in Eternal Relic were Warrior, Mage, Ranger, Priest, Warlock, and Assassin. With a retaliation damage passive, Zuan's first instinct was to pick Warrior. Warriors could endure more hits, and after advancing to Heavy Swordsman or Martial Artist later on, they would boast high bonus attack power. The downside was constant incoming damage. Pain felt just as real inside the game as it did in reality whenever he took blows. Still, with such powerful retaliation built into his talent, it would be a waste to avoid taking damage. He dismissed all other classes. They were far too fragile. Even if retaliation could kill an opponent in one strike, he would still die from their attack at the same time. Fine, he would endure the pain. But right before his finger touched the Warrior option, a flash of insight struck his mind. He stared intently at the talent description, his thoughts racing. I was wrong. Warrior isn't the best fit for this talent. It's Warlock. Zuan shifted his hand and firmly selected Warlock. Class selection successful. Nickname: Black Owl Class. Warlock Race. Human level: 1 health points, 50 mana points, 30 armor, 0 magic resistance, 0 attack power, 10 spell power, 0 speed. 10 non-essential stats omitted. Please choose your starting skill. 1. Dark Blade single target ranged attack 2. Night Assault area of effect melee attack 3. Abhorrent Decoy Survival Skill 3 skill icons appeared before him. Zuan had already weighed every possibility, so he chose the third without hesitation. Abhorrent Decoy Level 1. Consume 100 of your maximum mana to create a decoy using Dark Power and Curse Laws. Place the decoy at a designated spot within a 30-meter radius. The decoy's health equals the amount of mana consumed. When the decoy spawns, it emits a taunt aura, forcing all enemies within 30 meters to target it and slowing them slightly. Note, the decoy can receive healing, yet it has 0 armor and magic resistance, so it will take amplified damage. Cooldown. 30 seconds cooldown only begins once the decoy is destroyed. You may destroy the decoy voluntarily. This was the Warlock's survival skill. Whenever monsters swarmed him, he could summon the abhorrent decoy to draw aggro and buy himself a fighting chance. Yet the skill was generally regarded as mediocre. For ordinary Warlocks, base mana and mana growth were abysmally low, and equipment barely boosted their mana pool. Under normal circumstances, an abhorrent decoy would be as fragile as paper and offer little practical value. But none of that applied to him. His god-tier talent Hell Apostle's Soul Harvest could infinitely stack his mana pool. That meant he could pump endless health into his abhorrent decoy. Most crucially, the abhorrent decoy came with a unique mechanic. Damage taken by the decoy counted as damage taken by the player. Only the decoy's health was depleted instead of his own. Therefore, the abhorrent decoy inherited the user's retaliation effect. This fact had been proven in his past life. That was precisely why Zuan had rejected the tank class and chosen Warlock, despite his retaliation talent. This is the one. A smirk tugged at Zuan lips. Character creation complete. Please select your starting village. Village 8384. Zuan picked the starting village he knew from his past life. Countless starting villages existed across Eternal Relic, each with distinct quest lines. Naturally, he would choose the one he knew best. White light washed over him, and when it faded, the familiar starting square unfolded before his eyes. The starting square bustled with new players, wide-eyed with curiosity toward this new world. Wow, this game is incredible. It really feels like I've stepped into another world. These NPCs act just like real people. The bakery girl is so gentle. The immersion is insane. It simulates sight, touch, even smell. Really. System notice. Player, Gentleman Wanderer, has been banned from logging in for 36 hours for inappropriate conduct. A tall, thin male bard stood in the center of the square, holding a book and calling out to passing players. New adventurers seem full of energy. If you have a moment, stop and hear of the great events unfolding in this kingdom. Promotional trailers released before launch revealed that listening to the bard unlocked a quest and supplies. For this reason, most new players, including Black Owl, gathered around him. Half a month ago, the third prince of the kingdom of Tansius launched a coup. It failed, leaving the royal family entirely gone and the kingdom without a ruler. As the bard spoke, several players caught the inconsistency. Wait, the entire royal family is gone. The coup failed, right? What happened to the king? One player asked. The bard stared at the player as if he had asked why 1 + 1 = 2. Think carefully. Treason carries the punishment of execution for the entire clan. As the third prince's father, the king was brought to the execution block. The queen, first prince, second prince, and princess all met the same fate. What? Hold on a second. The players were stunned. That made no sense at all. Black Owl showed no outward reaction, but a smile formed in his mind. The world's lore foretold the awakening of elder gods across the land. These elder beings would wage war against the new gods for dominion, and all living creatures would become casualties of their conflict. It sounded absurd that the prince's failed coup would end with the entire royal family executed. Yet the people of Tansius accepted it without question, clear proof some force was altering their perceptions. It was one of the elder gods stirring beneath the kingdom, soon to awaken. The bard continued speaking to the crowd on the square. In short, the fate of the kingdom rests in the hands of you new adventurers. The nobles fight for power now that the throne sits empty, paying no mind to our remote villages. Monsters run rampant here. A powerful beast lurks west of the village. Whoever defeats it first will be hailed as the village's savior. Victors shall receive generous rewards, including the title Pioneer. Ding! The bard offers you a quest. A quest window popped up for every player gathered there at once. Quest received. Hope of the starting village. Objective: reach level 20, form a party to clear the dungeon Gloomy Bunker, and defeat the strongest boss threatening the starting village. Rewards: 1. Viscount title unlocking privileges. 2. Pioneer title if unclaimed. Failure penalty, none. Title, Pioneer. You may upgrade the quality of rewards from all dungeons by 1 tier. Gold, experience. Even noble title meant nothing to him. The Pioneer title was priceless. Upgrading every dungeon reward by 1 tier was game-breaking. Every ambitious, powerful player in the game coveted this title. Black Owl was no exception. However, as a reincarnator, Black Owl knew of a faster path. A hidden questline existed within the starting village. It was far less tedious than the main storyline. The main quest contained more than 30 sub-objectives. The hidden chain had fewer than 10. Adventurers, take these. May fortune favor you. Once he finished his monologue, the bard distributed starter supplies. You obtain times 20 minor health recovery potion, times 20 minor mana recovery potion, times 1 beginner class set. The beginner class set included 1 weapon and 1 chest armor piece. Deadwood staff required level 1 effect. Spell power plus 5 special effect. Non-beginner warlock robes required level 1 effect. Armor plus 5 special effect. None. Black Owl equipped the gear. His figure was draped in dark warlock robes. The dark fabric made his skin appear paler, lending him a somber aura. The bard continued repeating the tale to newly arriving players. Black Owl stepped away from the square. Following the memories of his past life, he weaved through village streets until he reached a building, the Warlock Mentor's office. This was where warlocks collected quests and skill tomes. Warlocks were a rare class to begin with, and every new player was busy leveling monsters at launch. The office stood empty. Black Owl pushed open the door, triggering a crisp chime. Warlock Mentor Helora sat reading in a rattan chair. She glanced up casually, then rose in surprise upon seeing the adventurer, clutching her book to her chest and speaking politely. Greetings, adventurer. How may I assist you? I did not expect visitors at this hour. Hello, Mentor Helora. Black Owl closed and locked the door behind him, meeting her gaze steadily. I need 3 portions of glow powder that burns through the night. This was the secret code he had learned in his past life. Speaking this phrase to the class, Mentor unlocked the first quest of the hidden questline. Were you sent by Colonel Kaz? Helora blinked in surprise. Colonel Kaz? The name was unfamiliar. He had never heard of this NPC in the starting village during his past life. Black Owl's expression remained calm. That is correct. Colonel Kaz sent me to see if I could offer you assistance. I require Ghostfang wolf claws for my research, yet I cannot leave to gather them myself. Think carefully, adventurer. If you choose to work for me, you ought not to divert too much energy toward other matters. A system notification appeared. Helora offers you the quest. Collect Ghostfang wolf claws. Quest penalty. Helora will complain about your unreliability to Colonel Kaz, blowing your cover. Someday afterward, you may be ambushed by a hooded female NPC. Quest rewards. Multiple revival coins. Level 5 bronze grade equipment. First tier class skill tome. Several skill points. Experience. Gold coins. Special Note 1. Reward quality scales with quantity. Special Note 2. Removes main quest. Black Owl stroked his chin. The rewards were substantial, especially on the game's first day. Above all else were revival coins. Players needed them for resurrection, and their cost rose steeply over time. Black Owl recalled that after the game merged with reality in his past life, countless players died permanently because they lacked revival coins to resurrect. Even before the fusion, dying without spare coins brought severe penalties. He could never have too many. I accept this quest. Black Owl nodded. Helora did not look pleased. Are you certain? Ghostfang wolves are level 5 monsters. I need the claws for my research by tomorrow, adventurer. I understand, Mentor Helora. I will bring you the Ghostfang wolf claws before nightfall. Very well, I trust you then. Stay safe, adventurer. As an NPC, Helora could not refuse to issue the quest. Quest received. Secret of the starting village. Collect Ghostfang wolf claws. You have lost the quest Hope of the starting village. Quest received. Secret of the starting village. Objective. Reach level 20. Follow the guidance of Helora and Colonel Kaz to uncover the hidden secret of the starting village and truly save it. Rewards. 1. The title of Viscount within your nation, unlocking a series of special privileges. 2. If no player on any server has obtained the title Pioneer upon quest completion, you gain Pioneer. Failure penalty. None. Farewell, Mentor Helora. I shall return shortly. Black Owl said no more and stepped out the door. Helora watched his departing back and sighed. Colonel Kaz sent a level 1 adventurer? Standards keep slipping. Yet, there is an aura of the law of death clinging to him. Could I have misread it? Outside the starting village stretched a grassland, territory of level 1 monsters. Rune-carved cattle. Rune-carved cattle health points. 80 attack power. 5 armor, 0 magic resistance. 5 description, a cattle breed carrying faint demonic blood. Larger than ordinary cattle, they were once valued livestock for farmers. For unknown reasons, they have suddenly turned violent and begun attacking people. This area was crowded with players from Village 83-84. Everyone was still level 1, and hunting the cattle was the optimal way to level. Black Owl watched groups of players teaming up to slay the beasts, and memories washed over him. Nostalgic. I hunted cattle here once too. Back then, Legacy of Creation offered little early game power, and I leveled slowly. I only reached level 2 by the end of the day. I was lucky that some players took me into their party despite my weak build. Wait, I remember now. 3 major guilds contested monster spawns with us back then. Unpleasant memories surfaced. Upon closer observation, he spotted a group of players among the cattle. They aggroed multiple rune-carved cattle, damaged them to low health, then left the party, letting their party leader land the killing blows. This allowed the leader to claim all experience, drastically boosting leveling efficiency. These players belonged to 3 major guilds: Tyrant Guild, Misty Rain Guild, and Shanxiao Guild. The players pulling monsters were ordinary low-ranking members, while those reaping the experience were high-ranking and core members, including the guild leaders themselves. The leaders and core members of the 3 guilds were all extremely wealthy and influential in the real world. To get ahead of other players in the game, they had signed formal contracts with monster farming teams and training squads long in advance. But this left ordinary players suffering. The 3 guilds had practically monopolized all the patterned cattle spawns. Regular players could only pick over whatever scraps remained. As a result, as Black Owl walked across the grasslands, he overheard constant complaints. "They're shameless. Tell me about it. I've only gained 2% experience this whole time. When am I ever going to level up? They're nothing but a plague." Still, the ordinary players only dared to mutter such grievances quietly. Just then, one party of players managed to lure 4 patterned cattle. The whole team erupted in joy. With Tyrant Guild controlling the area, the group had averaged only 1 kill every 30 minutes since the server launched. Their celebration did not last long. A high-ranking member of Tyrant Guild commanded over 30 regular guild mates to wipe out the entire party, then seized the patterned cattle they had worked so hard to gather. While the newbie village offered special protection, players who died at the hands of others did not need revive coins to respawn. The setback severely slowed their leveling progress. Fall behind once, and you fall behind forever. Can't you see? Didn't you notice members of Tyrant Guild are operating here? How dare you pull so many wild monsters all at once? The high-ranking tyrant mage, Shangwan Baobao, roared. He strode over to the slain players, kicked their player corpses, then gestured aggressively toward everyone nearby. Try stealing wild spawns from Tyrant Guild again and see what happens. Black Owl happened to walk past at that moment, immediately drawing Shangwan Baobao's attention. He glared hostilely at Black Owl. Warlocks learned the AoE spell Shadow Onslaught at level 1. If timed perfectly with monster respawns, a caster could pull multiple targets at once. What Shangwan Baobao never imagined was that Black Owl had chosen Despised Substitute, the skill all other warlocks scorned, instead of Shadow Onslaught. Shangwan Baobao kept staring at Black Owl as he walked straight past, moving farther and farther away until his figure vanished from the level 1 monster zone. Shangwan Baobao and the onlookers were thoroughly confused. Where was he going? Was he planning to challenge level 2 monsters directly? That was ridiculous. Level 1 mobs were already tough enough to fight. Why would anyone seek out level 2 creatures? Most monsters in the newbie village were passive and would not attack players unprovoked. Black Owl traveled a great distance, crossing grasslands, rocky wastelands, and sandy shores until he reached a forest. This was the territory of masked direwolves. Dozens of masked direwolves weaved through the shadowy woods. Eerie howls echoed in the distance from time to time. In most games, monsters possessed far more health than attack power. From Black Owl's memories, masked direwolves worked differently. Their health was lower than level 1 monsters, yet their attack output rivaled top-tier level 5 foes. They had stocky bodies and stubby limbs, making them slow-moving, but their bite force was devastating. Black Owl suspected the developers had designed these creatures to let ranged classes such as archers practice kiting tactics. Masked direwolf level, 5 HP, 60 attack power, 30 skills. None description, named for facial markings resembling ghostly masks. They possess razor-sharp fangs with powerful piercing capability, but lack durability. They once rarely troubled nearby human villages, yet for unknown reasons, they have grown vicious lately, frequently charging in packs to assault villagers. They were classic glass cannons. A level 5 monster with less HP than a level 1 patterned cattle, yet dealing several times its damage. Black Owl's talent Apostle of Hell granted the passive retaliation of death. When struck, it dealt true damage equal to 1 times incoming damage plus 5 times spell power plus 5 times bonus attack power. Creatures that hit hard but had low health were perfect for his build. Nickname: Black Owl Race. Human level: 1 health points, 50 mana points, 30 attack power, 5 spell power, 5 armor, 5 magic resistance, 0 movement speed, 10 constitution, 0 strength, 0 spirit, 0 agility, 0 soul shards, 0 talents. Legacy of Creation God tier, Apostle of Hell God tier class skill. Despised Substitute level 1 general skills. None. Despised Substitute consumed all 30 of Black Owl's mana to summon a duplicate with exactly 30 HP. A single strike from a masked direwolf dealt 30 damage, nearly obliterating the substitute in 1 hit. The direwolf only had 60 HP. Even with retaliation of death triggering, it would take just 55 true damage. If the beast crushed the substitute in 1 bite, it could turn and kill Black Owl with another attack immediately afterward. On the surface, challenging the wolf looked like a suicidal gamble. Even so, Black Owl raised his gnarled wooden staff as he stood before one masked direwolf. The wolf lifted its head and stared at Black Owl. Black Owl stared back down at the masked direwolf. Thud! The staff slammed ruthlessly against the wolf's skull. Aru! Stung by the blow, the direwolf's health bar shifted from neutral blue to hostile red. Baring its fangs, it lunged toward him. Right before its jaws clamped onto Black Owl's neck, dark and cursed energies surged. A duplicate identical to Black Owl materialized behind the masked direwolf. Despised Substitute could be summoned up to 30 meters away. Thanks to his sharp combat instincts, Black Owl placed the substitute precisely 30 meters from the wolf in the blink of an eye. The taunt aura emanating from Despised Substitute also spanned 30 meters, ensnaring the direwolf instantly. Under the taunt's influence, the beast ignored Black Owl and charged straight for the duplicate. Now's my chance, Black Owl grinned, twirling his wooden staff neatly, and chased after the wolf, striking its hindquarters repeatedly. 1-1-1. Though warlocks leaned into spellcasting, they still possessed a base attack. Auto attacks could deal consistent damage. While taunted, the masked direwolf paid no mind to Black Owl, no matter how many blows landed on its rear. The wolf had a bulky frame and sluggish movement, and the substitute carried a minor slowing aura. Black Owl managed 6 successive strikes while chasing it, dealing 6 total points of damage. RRR. Eyes blazing crimson, the masked direwolf sank its teeth into Despised Substitute. 30 The duplicate's HP hit 0 and dissolved into purple mist. At the same time, Apostle of Hell's retaliation of death activated. Power drawn from the laws of death struck the ordinary masked direwolf directly from the fabric of the world. A wisp of death energy flickered over the beast, and white numbers marking true damage floated upward. 55 Black Owl possessed 5 armor points, yet Despised Substitute had none, so the wolf's attack went through undiminished. The masked direwolf shuddered, its health bar emptying completely. Its body burst into a cloud of blood mist. Experience gain plus 60 high-level target bonus. Soul shards plus 58. You have reached level 2. You have reached level 3. 2 levels and 1 kill. At that moment, in Newbie Village 8384, the player with the highest progress was Shangguan Inhu, leader of Tyrant Guild. He had poured well over 3 million currency hiring players to pull and tank monsters for him. Even so, he remained stuck at level 1, with his experience bar only 80% full. Everyone assumed no one had broken past level 1 yet. No one bothered opening the leaderboard. If Shangguan Inhu checked it right then, his confidence would crumble instantly. Boom, boom. 2 beams of level-up light crashed onto Black Owl one after another. That feels great. The thrill of leveling washed over him. Black Owl stretched, bones popping all over his body. A strong start lifted his spirits. This leveling speed is more than 10 times faster than in my past life. I'm lucky to own Apostle of Hell alongside Legacy of Creation. Otherwise, I would have had to compete with the 3 major guilds over patterned cattle. I'd still be stuck below level 3 by nightfall. 2 levels gained. All base stats plus 2 free attribute points acquired times 10. Black Owl enabled automatic stat allocation. From now on, every 5 free points earned on level up would be fully invested into spirit. For warlocks, each point of spirit increased maximum mana by 10 and spell power by 5. Adding the 58 soul shards, which permanently raised his mana pool by 58 points. His maximum mana rose to 208. Despised Substitute's HP matched his mana pool, now exceeding that of a patterned cattle. On top of that, his spell power climbed to 65. It would now take 7 hits from a masked direwolf dealing 30 damage per strike to destroy the duplicate. Each retaliation would trigger 30 plus 5 times 65 is equal to 355 true damage. Black Owl no longer needed to waste energy whacking monsters repeatedly like before. All he needed to do was lure targets and let Despised Substitute handle the rest. I only killed a single level 5 mob, and my mana already hit 208. Without special talents or gear, ordinary mages cap out at around 60 mana, and this is just from one masked direwolf. I never expected soul shards to accumulate this quickly. If I keep farming here, my mana cap will easily surpass 1,000 soon. Still, there's a complication. Despised Substitute drains mana based on a percentage of my maximum pool, and low-tier newbie mana potions restore pitiful amounts. Won't it grow harder and harder to fully regenerate mana later on? Black Owl frowned, eyeing his generous mana bar, lost in thought. A distant wolf howl cut through his contemplation. No sense dwelling on it. Back to farming. The more wolf claws I turn in for the quest, the richer the reward. I might even receive mana-restoring equipment or a skill as a reward. Black Owl glanced at the remaining wandering masked direwolves. Magic swirled in his grasp, and his mage robes stirred without wind. Leveling fully replenished his previously empty mana gauge. Darkness and curse energy coalesced into a new despised substitute. The duplicate now held 208 HP. Even with the masked direwolf's 30 attack power, the beast needed at least 7 bites to eliminate it. There was no need to tire himself out chasing wolves and clubbing them to chip in extra damage as he had before. Pain and exhaustion felt startlingly authentic within Eternal Relic. However, most newbie village monsters remained neutral. The taunt aura from Despised Substitute dealt no damage, so it would not draw aggro on its own. Black Owl still had to strike manually to pull each wolf. Come here. Black Owl stepped toward a masked dire wolf and swung his staff like a baseball bat against its skull. The wolf snarled, jaws dripping with saliva. But caught by the substitute's taunt aura, it ignored Black Owl and charged furiously toward the duplicate. Within Eternal Relic, the taunt mechanic altered the target's perception. The dire wolf sank its teeth into the duplicate, and 30 floated above it. The next instant, the beast jolted and exploded. 355. Leveling boosted Black Owl's spell power. Retaliation of death calculated damage as incoming damage plus 5 times spell power plus 5 times bonus attack power. The masked direwolf took a crushing 355 true damage instantly. By comparison, the highest burst damage any player could muster came from assassins. Even a critical strike barely hit 60 physical damage, which would be reduced by armor values. Masked direwolf slain. Experience plus 21 high-level target bonus. Soul shards plus 19. Black Owl read the notification and pondered. It seems soul shard gains decay, just like experience rewards. That makes sense. Otherwise, I could endlessly farm low-level mobs in the newbie zone and ignore everything else. The direwolf's remains faded away, leaving behind a faintly glowing loot sack. Clouds of gray light drifted toward Black Owl and merged into his body. Black Owl tapped 3 nearby masked direwolves one by one with his staff. While the 3 wolves sprinted toward Despised Substitute, he walked over and opened the loot sack. Obtain masked direwolf claw ×1. Obtain direwolf boots ×1. Lucky drop. Black Owl pulled a pair of black boots etched with a wolf's head emblem, striking in design. Direwolf boots required level 3 bronze tier movement speed +3, armor +15 equipment tiers in the game ranked. Iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, sacred artifact, demi-artifact, divine artifact. The game had barely launched, so bronze equipment was extremely sought after. Black Owl thought the armor bonus was of limited use, but extra movement speed proved valuable for kiting monsters. He slipped them on, planning to resell them on the auction house once they became obsolete. Just as he finished equipping the boots, 3 successive bursts echoed out. In the short span it took to put on footwear, 2 of the lured masked direwolves had already exploded. Masked direwolf slain. Experience plus 21 high-level target bonus times 3 soul shards plus 17 soul shards plus 18 soul shards plus 19. Now wearing speed-enhancing boots, Black Owl moved twice as fast to collect the loot. Obtain masked direwolf claw ×1. Obtain copper coins ×10. This game is ridiculous. Why would a wolf carry cash on its body? Did it buy bones from wandering merchants? Black Owl stowed the loot and uncapped a basic mana restoration potion. Despised Substitute consumed anywhere between 10 to 100% of his maximum mana upon casting. Balancing cooldowns and farming efficiency, Black Owl had summoned the Substitute twice using full mana each time. His mana pool sat empty once more. This was the common complaint against the Warlock class. They burned through mana far too quickly. When managed properly, Warlocks showcased intricate mechanics that excelled in both PvP and PvE. It was a class defined by clever mechanics rather than raw stat numbers. Black Owl watched his mana gauge creep upward slowly, inwardly complaining. Mana regeneration is far too sluggish. There was nothing he could do. Basic mana restoration potions were made for new players. Each flask only restored 25 mana. After absorbing additional soul shards, Black Owl's maximum mana reached 281. He drank 7 potions and meditated for a stretch before his mana fully refilled. Black Owl sighed. The downtime wasted too much time, and his mana cap would only keep rising as he collected more soul shards. Purchasing higher-tier potions would drain his funds quickly. His best bet lay in finding equipment or skills that boosted mana regeneration. Black Owl rested his chin in his hand and scanned the roaming pack of wolves. From what he recalled, level 5 mass dire wolves did not drop mana-restoring gear. His only hope rested on the reward the NPC would offer once he turned in the collection quest. Back to work. Black Owl stood, summoned Despised Substitute beside him, then moved off to strike more wolves. One masked dire wolf after another charged toward the duplicate and perished under retaliatory damage, bursting into mist. His experience bar surged forward in large increments. His pile of wolf claws steadily grew. Time ticked by, and the sun dipped toward the horizon. This is my last mana potion. Black Owl tossed the empty vial onto the ground carelessly. His mana drained dry again, with no potions left. This included 1 full mana refill from leveling midway through farming. Still, his harvest proved remarkable. He had slain over 120 masked dire wolves. He reached level 5 and collected 1,553 soul shards. His stats skyrocketed. Beyond that, the 120 wolves yielded 2 additional pieces of bronze equipment. Dire wolf leggings required level 3 bronze tier movement speed +1, armor +20. Dire wolf belt required level 3 bronze tier movement speed +2, armor +15. Movement speed was Black Owl's top priority, so he equipped both pieces instead of selling them. No mana left to cast. Time to call it a day. Black Owl gathered all loot and clapped his hands with satisfaction, turning toward the newbie village. Meanwhile, in the patterned cattle zone, a beam of level-up light crashed onto Shangwan Inhu. As leader of Tyrant Guild, supported by monopolized spawns and hired farming crews, he finally hit level 2 after more than an hour of grinding. Level 2. A smile tugged at Shangwan Inhu's lips, and a surge of superiority washed over him. He knew the investment had paid off. He firmly believed he was the first player in the newbie village, if not the entire game, to reach level 2. Congratulations, guild leader. Incredible. Level 2 already. No one else should be level 2 yet. The other Tyrant Guild members flattered him, full of envy. Shangwan Inhu savored the moment. Pouring money into the game was for exactly this feeling. Let me pull up the leaderboard. I bet no one besides the guild leader has hit level 2. The high-ranking member Shangwan Baobao prepared to open the rankings. Enough idle chatter. Keep leveling. Once we advance, we'll seize the level 2 monster zone and overpower the other 2 guilds. Shangwan Inhu wore a stern expression, pretending to be uninterested despite relishing the praise. Whoa! Shangwan Baobao's eyes bulged upon seeing the leaderboard, and he shouted in shock. Shangwan Baobao, you're laying the flattery on way too thick. Chimu, the female assassin and another high-ranking officer, massaged her forehead in exasperation. Can we stop fooling around and keep grinding? Shangwan Inhu snapped. Shangwan Baobao lifted his head, stammering. Guild leader, there's someone on the leaderboard who's level 5. What? You're lying. Let me see. The senior officers opened the leaderboard themselves. Holy hell, it's real. Who is this Black Owl? We've worked our tails off for an hour and barely hit level 2. How is he level 5? Guild leader, you need to look at this. Shangwan Inhu dropped his cold composure. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he opened the leaderboard. Black Owl, level 5. Shangwan Inhu, level 2. Shangwan Baobao was right. Shangwan Inhu truly was the second highest player in the newbie village. But someone stood far above him at level 5. Boss. All eyes turned to Shangwan Inhu, as if waiting for him to make a call. Shangwan Inhu wore an awkward, perplexed expression. Everyone's staring at me. How am I supposed to know what's going on? What on earth is happening? The first-tier wild monsters were mostly split between our 3 major guilds. Everyone else could only pick over our leftovers. How could someone have reached level 5 under these circumstances? Level 2 or 3 I could wrap my head around. But level 5? Could there be some errand quest in the novice village that grants massive experience? There has to be some secret I don't know about. I need to find a way to drag that secret out of Black Owl. Shangwan Bao Bao planted her hands on her hips, indignant. He must be cheating, mark my words. Does this game even have cheats? Or maybe he's exploiting a bug. That's shameless. How do we report him? Where's the report function in this game? Black Owl had done nothing to provoke them. He simply leveled quietly on his own, yet every single one of these players acted as if Black Owl had wronged them terribly. The female assassin Chimo leaned against a tree, lost in thought, seemingly uninterested in the conversation. Could Black Owl mess up our chance to claim the first clear of the gloomy bunker? Someone voiced the critical question. They had no idea that while the 3 major guilds pushed hard on the novice village main storyline to race for the gloomy bunker first clear, Black Owl was following a separate hidden questline. Shangwan Inhu thought for a moment and spoke. Probably not. The leaderboard shows he hasn't joined any guild. The gloomy bunker is a team dungeon. There's no way he can clear it alone. Still, we can't rule out the possibility he belongs to another guild and stayed guildless on purpose to lull us into lowering our guard. Chimo put in. Chimo's right. Send him a private message and ask if he wants to join us. Boss, he turned off private messages from strangers. Should we send him mail? Shangwan Bao Bao asked. No, Shangwan Inhu shook his head. For talent like this, we need to be formal. Use a golden megaphone to send a village-wide announcement inviting him. His gaze sharpened. If this hidden expert joins our guild, humph. What will Misty Rain Guild and Shangxiao Guild have to compete with us for the gloomy bunker first clear? Got it. Shangwan Bao Bao's eyes widened. Whoa, boss, Misty Rain and Shangxiao beat us to it. Shangwan Inhu glanced at the chat log. Great expert Black Owl. Would you consider joining Misty Rain Guild? We have plenty of female members and generous benefits. We can offer you a monthly salary of 80,000. Expert Black Owl on the leaderboard. Care to join Shangxiao Guild? A monthly salary of 100,000. Brothers, all the way. Shangwan Inhu let out a dismissive chuckle. We send one too, but don't grovel like them. There's no need for Tyrant Guild to bow and scrape even for someone as strong as Black Owl. If he dares get in the way of our first clear, I've got plenty of ways to deal with him. Understood. Shangwan Bao Bao paused to choose her words, then expended a golden megaphone to post the announcement. Black Owl, if you have ambition and want to taste the thrill of dominating others, Tyrant Guild can reserve a spot for you. The 3 announcements sent the entire 83-84 novice village into an uproar. Using the item Golden Megaphone to post a public announcement cost 10 gold coins. Gold coins were extremely scarce and valuable in the early stages of the game, and 3 major guilds were willing to spend that kind of resource to recruit a player named Black Owl. Who exactly was Black Owl? How had he reached level 5 when everyone else was still stuck at level 1? Black Owl saw the 3 announcements naturally. He only glanced over them, paying them no mind at all. He possessed 2 god-tier talents, and as a reincarnator, he held information no one else knew. Joining a guild would only slow his path to growing stronger. He headed back to see Halora, the warlock instructor in Novice Village. He pushed open the wooden door strung with wind chimes. Halora, who had been reading with her head lowered, lifted her head and blinked innocently. It's you? How did you return so quickly? Wait, you're level 5? Good heavens, it's barely been half a day. I've met countless adventurers, and you level faster than any of them. Halora stood up, adjusted her round glasses, and studied him where he stood. Instructor Halora, I've come to turn in the quest. Are the rewards ready? Turn in quest. 126 wolf claws. Halora's eyes widened in shock. She'd assumed a level 1 novice assigned this quest would take days to finish it, at the very least. Yet he'd completed it in mere hours, and even exceeded the requirement. You've exceeded my expectations, adventurer. Congratulations on completing the quest. As promised, I shall grant your reward. Halora smiled. Wait a moment. Black Owl held up a hand to stop her. What is it? Halora looked confused. The reward includes a piece of equipment, right? Do you have any gear that restores mana? As you know, warlocks constantly run low on mana. I do. How about this one? Halora displayed an item to Black Owl. Percentage mana restoration. Black Owl's eyes lit up. The value was low, only 1%. But in this game, equipment stats could be boosted via upgrading, star promotion, quality advancement, and more. Star promotion was the most accessible method right now. Black Owl had already made up his mind. Once he gathered enough gold and materials, he would head to the blacksmith to upgrade this necklace's star rank. What do you think, Black Owl? Does this equipment satisfy you? Halora asked. It works. Hand over the rest of the rewards. Black Owl took the necklace and equipped it. Very well. Halora nodded. The next instant, notification windows popped up one after another before Black Owl's eyes. A column of leveling light crashed down on Black Owl. You have reached level 6. All 4 base attributes +1, free attribute points +5. Black Owl picked up the 2 first-tier class skill books. If these 2 books went up for auction right now, the 3 major guilds would fight tooth and nail to get them. In the early game, an extra skill could multiply combat power and team utility several times over. He'd chosen these 2 skills mainly to improve mob pulling efficiency. Midnight Onslaught could instantly aggro all enemies within 30 meters, while Darkblade could pull targets up to 50 meters away with a short cooldown. No more whacking monsters with a wooden staff. Black Owl had another consideration, too. Skill mutation. It was one of the game's core mechanics. By spending gold coins and special materials, players could mutate a skill once, granting it a unique special effect. For instance, Black Owl was already considering mutating Abhorrent Doppelganger, so that it would periodically cast Midnight Onslaught after landing. That would let him automatically pull and fight monsters. If he later obtained skills or equipment that could heal the Doppelganger, he could build a self-sustaining farming loop. Once set up, he could place the Abhorrent Doppelganger amid dense monster spawns and farm experience and soul shards automatically. Next, Black Owl spent all 16 of his skill points to raise Abhorrent Doppelganger 2 levels. While Black Owl upgraded his skill, Halora watched him, resting her chin in her hand. When she judged he had finished, she spoke up. Black Owl, your performance has impressed me greatly. I have another quest I hope you can help me with. Frankly, among all adventurers in this village, you are the only one capable of this task. Are you interested? Black Owl knew this was the second quest of the hidden main storyline and accepted it without hesitation. He had never seen the final quests of this hidden mainline in his past life. The hidden storyline had only been partially deduced by a top-tier player late in the game's lifespan, using clues found within a dungeon. Still, he knew those later quests would not be easy. Black Owl understood he needed to balance rushing quest progress with boosting his own strength. That included equipment star promotion, gathering soul shards, skill mutation, hunting high-grade equipment, and more. The most accessible and urgent task right now was equipment star promotion. To do that, he needed to farm materials in the Weaving Mountains. I knew I'd made the right choice. Thank you, adventurer. Halora smiled, her bright eyes flickering. A mutually beneficial arrangement. I'm heading off now. I'll return to find you once I've gathered enough chieftain remains. Farewell. Black Owl waved and left, leaving Halora staring at his retreating back. The Weaving Mountains stretched out barren and desolate. The ground glowed crimson, and the air shimmered with heat. Bordering an active volcano, the region was home to stone shell crabs level 10, shatter-jumping constructs level 11, and crimson crystal twin-tailed scorpions level 12. Shatter-jumping constructs dropped crude stone cores, the material needed for equipment star promotion, making them Black Owl's primary target. These monsters stood roughly human-sized, shapeless masses formed entirely of loose rock. Watching them leap across the open ground from the mountainside was an eerie sight. Black Owl walked between several shatter-jumping constructs, summoned his abhorrent doppelganger, then stamped his foot. Midnight Onslaught. Boom. A dull explosion echoed outward. Negative energy surged forth like a tidal wave, originating from Black Owl. The shatter-jumping constructs possessed innate magic resistance, and numbers floated above their heads. 66. Combat erupted instantly. The constructs charged straight for the abhorrent doppelganger. Shatter-jumping constructs boasted 90 attack power and would need over 20 hits to destroy the doppelganger. Yet the reflected damage they took hit for 1340 true damage. They could not survive a single strike. Each construct exploded into rock fragments the moment it touched the doppelganger. Shatter-jumping construct slain. Experience plus 350 includes level gap bonus. You obtain soul shards times 71. Meanwhile, the mana restoration effect triggered repeatedly, causing the necklace of the Arcanist around Black Owl's neck to flicker with blue light. Black Owl's maximum mana sat at 2104. While the 1% mana restoration per hit was still modest, it was far better than chugging mana potions or meditating to recover. After upgrading Abhorrent Doppelganger, its HP equaled 120 of Black Owl's maximum mana. Even some novice village bosses could not match that durability. After enduring a full assault from the shatter-jumping constructs, the doppelganger's health bar only dipped slightly. Black Owl collected all the loot. Midnight Onslaught's cooldown had reset, so he immediately cast it again to pull another wave of monsters. He continued farming, cycling between mana recovery and waiting for skill cooldowns for 3 full hours. He had slain 177 shatter-jumping constructs, leaving piles of rock debris scattered across the terrain. Thanks to the experience bonus for fighting higher-level foes, Black Owl surged to level 8. He also gained 7,724 soul shards. Monster respawns are far too slow. Black Owl sat atop a boulder, resting his chin in his hand and muttering. Still, with this many shatter-jumping constructs dead, the boss should spawn soon. The thought had barely crossed his mind when the ground began to tremble faintly. The scattered rock fragments left by the slain shatter-jumping constructs stirred like boiling water, clattering noisily. It's here. Black Owl stood, his gaze sharp. Stones surged upward, drawn by an unseen force, merging together in midair. Fire elemental energy in the surrounding area also ran wild. Moments later, a 25-meter-tall rock monster wreathed in flame took shape. The moment it materialized, it lowered its massive frame and roared toward Black Owl, its crimson eyes burning with hatred. At the same time, a system announcement broadcast across all players in Novice Village 83-84 3 times. Player Black Owl has slain too many shatter-jumping constructs, enraging the chieftain Lava Colossus level 10. It has appeared in the Weaving Mountains. Adventurers assembled to defeat it. The explosive alert pulled countless players away from their monster grinding. A boss. A boss already? A level 10 boss. I haven't even hit level 2 yet. It's Black Owl again. When did he reach level 8? I'm skipping my leveling to go watch this boss fight. Lava Colossus level, 10 Chieftain HP, 8,500 attack power, 450 spell power, 800 armor, 600 magic resistance, 600 skills, rockfall, ground ripple, earth spikes, earth resonance under game rules. The Lava Colossus could only glare at Black Owl for now and would not strike first. It remained a neutral wild monster. Black Owl scanned the chieftain's stat panel, focusing on its skills. Rockfall dealt moderate damage with a short cooldown. Ground Ripple was an area attack that knocked targets down. Earth Spikes hit hard, but required a long channel and lengthy cooldown. Those 3 were manageable. The most troublesome skill was Earth Resonance. Every time it activated, the Colossus regenerated health as long as it stood on solid ground. In his past life, this ability had driven countless player parties attempting to defeat it to despair. I remember fighting you alongside my teammates for an hour last time. This time, Black Owl dismissed the abhorrent doppelganger that had endured the shatter-jumping construct assault for an hour. Once the skill cooldown refreshed, he summoned a brand new one. With the soul shards he had collected and the extra spirit points gained from leveling, his freshly summoned abhorrent doppelganger held 12395 HP at full strength. Even though the Lava Colossus was a level 10 boss, its total HP could not compare to the doppelganger Black Owl summoned. Dark magic swirled in his palm. He waved his hand, and a crescent-shaped dark blade shot forward, striking the Lava Colossus square in the head. 142 at the same time, a full moon marker appeared above the Colossus's head. It was afflicted by Dark Blade's passive effect, Dark Curse, taking 10 increased damage. Battle officially began. The Lava Colossus let out a roar that echoed through the mountain range, sending loose pebbles showering down the cliff faces. Yet the taunt aura from the abhorrent doppelganger activated immediately. The Lava Colossus turned its gaze away from Black Owl and fixed it on the doppelganger. Taunt in this game worked differently from many other titles. Taunted targets were not limited to basic melee attacks against the taunter. As mentioned before, taunt altered a monster's perception. It filled them with overwhelming rage toward the taunt's source, fixating their minds on a single goal: destroy the doppelganger by any means possible. Therefore, taunted enemies would unleash every skill at their disposal, aiming to maximize damage output. The Lava Colossus channeled magic. A magma-carved rune materialized above the abhorrent doppelganger. A massive boulder wrapped in molten rock and flame erupted from the rune, crashing toward the doppelganger with earth-shattering force. 621. That single blow would knock away a third of a level 10 warrior's health. The doppelganger's health bar only dipped slightly. Hell Apostle Death feedback triggered. Boom. The Lava Colossus shuddered violently. Cracks spiderwebbed across its rocky frame, and countless stone fragments crumbled away. 2,553. A huge chunk of its health bar vanished in an instant. The Colossus froze mid-swing, a voice of disbelief echoing through the air. Impossible. You are merely an 8-level adventurer, a warlock no less. How can you wield such devastating power? Where did this damage come from? The Lava Colossus boasted massive armor and magic resistance. Many new players saw its modest total HP and mistakenly believed it would be easy to defeat. Yet once they attempted to fight it, they discovered their attacks barely scratched its defenses. Black Owl's reflected damage, however, dealt true damage, completely ignoring all resistances. The lava giant roared furiously at the loathing decoy, unleashing every skill he had without hesitation. Magical runes bloomed brilliantly in the air. The ground trembled violently. A massive stone spike jutted upward from beneath the earth, piercing the decoy. 501-611. Yet every strike that landed on the loathing decoy dealt tremendous reflected damage to the lava giant. 24-21-2542. Though the lava giant's raw damage output was unremarkable, death feedback carried a 500 spell power multiplier. Black Owl possessed 340 spell power. While this figure seemed modest, ignoring fixed reflect damage, it translated directly to 1700 true damage against the lava giant. This was a damage number other players could not even fathom at this stage. Right now, most of them were still struggling just to land hits that broke 100 damage. When the final blow crashed into the loathing decoy, the lava giant's colossal frame could endure no longer. With a thunderous crash, it shattered apart. Countless boulders plummeted like meteors, slamming into the ground. How do you deal with a boss boasting massive health regeneration? Unleash overwhelming damage. It only took a handful of strikes to bring the lava giant down. The Echo of the Earth, an ability that plagued countless players, never even got a chance to activate. Among all players, the three major guilds were the most stunned, and none more so than Tyrant Guild. They had only just managed to reach level 3 when they spotted the announcement and immediately pulled up the level rankings. If Black Owl could appear in the level 10 monster zone, his level must have climbed once more. Shangwan Baobao shouted loudly. Whoa, Black Owl's already level 8. Where's the game balance? Even with a talent that boosts leveling speed, this is absurd. A sharp glint flashed in Shangwan Inhu's eyes. This is a level 10 boss. Even if Black Owl is level 8, he cannot defeat it alone. Let's head over right away and see if we can team up with him to take it down. Within the entire starting village, we are his only viable allies if he wants partners. The other guild members' eyes lit up at his words. Of course, if they could cooperate with Black Owl to slay this boss, the rewards would be unimaginably generous. After all, this was a level 10 boss. The experience alone would be enough to push everyone up multiple levels. They could negotiate with Black Owl to split the dropped gear and loot on a 1-to-9 ratio in their favor. Would he dare refuse? Just as everyone grew giddy with anticipation, the announcement feed broadcasting the boss spawn halted. A brand new notification pushed the previous message aside. Congratulations to player Black Owl for defeating boss Lava Giant. Rewards obtained. Tier 1 General Skill Book ×1, Banishment Token ×1, Bloodflame Blade Gold Quality, and other abundant spoils. Everyone fell silent. You've got to be kidding me. The announcement about the boss spawning hadn't even finished scrolling. And he'd already killed it? Solo? Completely alone? Are we even playing the same game? Hurry, find Black Owl by any means necessary. We have to buy the gear he obtained. Shangwan Inhu issued an immediate order. Understood. Elsewhere, in the Weave Mountains. Soul Fragments obtained plus 860. Experience obtained plus 6,500. Skill points obtained plus 20. You have reached level 9. All 4 basic stats plus 1. Free attribute points obtained plus 5. Black Owl allocated all free attribute points to Spirit, then reached for the loot sack left behind by the Lava Giant. Tier 1 General Skill Book ×1 acquired. Banishment Token ×1 acquired. Bloodflame Blade Gold Quality acquired. Lava Giant Remains Quest Item +1 acquired. Tier 1 General Skill Book can be exchanged for a general skill from a class mentor. Banishment Token allows summoned creatures to enter a neutral state. This item only grows useful in the mid to late game, typically used by summoner classes to station their summons within guild territory to bolster defenses. It would fetch a high price later on, but it held little market value right now, so he decided to keep it for the time being. Black Owl turned his gaze toward the gold quality Bloodflame Blade. It's a fine weapon, but it does not suit my class. I'll sell it for gold coins instead. Black Owl listed the Bloodflame Blade on the auction house with a starting bid of 100 gold coins. He had now collected enough inferior stone cores. His next destination was the village to upgrade the star rank of the Lawbearer's necklace. The necklace's current effect of restoring 1 mana on every damage dealt felt far too underwhelming. As he neared the village gate, he spotted a large crowd gathered there, led by members of the 3 major guilds. Black Owl, come over. I need to discuss something with you. Shangwan Inhu spoke flatly, his tone and bearing reminiscent of a domineering student cornering a quiet classmate for a talk behind the school building. But could Black Owl ever be described as a quiet, compliant student? As the leader of Tyrant Guild, Shangwan Inhu and his guildmates had acted with impunity across countless popular games in the past. Stories about them littered gaming forums, nearly all of them infamous. Several years prior, in another game, a student player refused to back down after being outnumbered and harassed by him. Shangwan Inhu retaliated by spending real money to leak the student's personal information, spread slander, and launch online harassment, which ultimately drove the young student to take his own life. Everyone assumed such a serious incident would force Shangwan Inhu to lay low. Instead, he openly remarked, "If someone lacks the mental fortitude to play games, they shouldn't be playing at all. Sharing a game server with people like that is nothing but a nuisance." He then carried on bullying other players alongside his crew without restraint. In short, Tyrant Guild operated across numerous games, and their core pastime was tormenting weaker players for amusement. Shangwan Inhu waved at Black Owl from more than 10 meters away. He expected Black Owl to obediently approach upon seeing his in-game ID. Black Owl, however, ignored him entirely and strode straight toward the village interior. A frown creased Shangwan Inhu's brow. Members of the Mistvale Guild and the Dawnspire Guild, normally bitter rivals, found themselves drawing together to watch and whisper. Mistvale Guild leader Yanchen. "Whoa, Black Owl's got guts." He just brushed Shangwan Inhu off completely. Even though they were also major guild leaders with considerable wealth, neither dared snub Shangwan Inhu so openly. Dawnspire Guild leader Yin Xiao. "I'm quite fond of this attitude." Seeing their guild leader ignored, Tyrant Guild's Shangwan Baobao called out sharply, "Hey, we're talking to you. Are you deaf?" His voice was shrill and grating. Shangwan Inhu held out a hand to stop him. "Securing that gold-tier equipment takes priority. We can settle other scores later." With that, he activated the newly learned warrior skill Leap and landed directly in front of Black Owl. "Black Owl, pull the Bloodflame blade from the auction house and name your price to sell it to me." Shangwan Inhu understood Black Owl held no fear of his notorious reputation, so he softened his tone slightly. His ultimate target remained the Bloodflame blade. If he obtained the blade, he could claim the title of the strongest warrior in the 83-84 starting village. Black Owl glanced at him. "What price are you offering?" "The auction house is open to everyone. The highest bidder gets it. What I mean is a real money transaction directly between us. Name your figure." "How about 100,000? If you also share your leveling secret and promise not to tell anyone else, I'll add another 300,000. Raise the offer if that does not satisfy you." Shangwan Inhu spoke with unshakable confidence. When it came to real-world finances, he vastly outmatched the other two guild leaders. For this exact reason, Yanchen and Yunxiao's hearts sank upon hearing the offer. Other players listening nearby gazed on in envy. Black Owl's luck was simply unbelievable. Hundreds of thousands of real currency. This was a sum many people spent a decade or longer earning. Black Owl shook his head. "I don't want real cash. I only accept gold coins." "What?" Shangwan Inhu's smile froze, while Yanchen and Yunxiao's eyes lit up. When it came to gold coins, the three guilds held roughly equal reserves. It all came down to who was willing to spend more for the Bloodflame blade. That meant they still stood a chance. "Black Owl, if you agree to a cash deal, I'll boost the offer by another 400,000. No, 600,000. Shangwan Inhu was reluctant to spend gold coins. Gold was extraordinarily valuable in the game's early phase. Skills, equipment, housing, guild maintenance, everything required gold. Spending a massive stockpile of gold on the Bloodflame blade would be a poor trade. Numerous development plans would stall due to a shortage of funds, delaying attempts to claim dungeon first clears. The onlookers swallowed hard hearing the price. Was this the allure of eternal ruins? Could someone become a millionaire in a single day? Black Owl grew irritated by the man's refusal to listen. "Are your ears blocked? I told you I only want gold coins. If you can afford it, bid at the auction house. If not, get out of my way." Shangwan Inhu had never been told he could not afford something and dismissed like this. "Hey, are you actively looking for trouble?" Shangwan Baobao's shrill voice cut out once again. "Has no one ever told you how unpleasant your voice sounds?" Black Owl said coldly. The next instant, Shangwan Baobao's eyes widened. Because he saw, system notice. Black Owl has declared PvP against you. A dark blade hurtled toward him. 204/4/5 of Shangwan Baobao's health vanished in an instant. Immediately afterward, another cast of Night Assault landed. Shangwan Baobao's health dropped to 0. Player Black Owl has slain player Shangwan Baobao. Infamy +1. Everyone around stood dumbfounded. Black Owl had killed a high-ranking member of Tyrant Guild, right in front of guild leader Shangguan Yinhu. You dare kill someone from Tyrant Guild? Shangguan Yinhu drew the sword slung over his back, cold fury blazing in his eyes. The other Tyrant Guild members closed in, their expressions threatening. Black Owl let out a cold laugh. So what if I killed him? Block my path again, and I'll hunt every last one of you down like wild monsters. Move aside. He pushed straight through the crowd and departed, treating Shangguan Yinhu and his men as if they were irrelevant. Shangguan Yinhu glared at Black Owl's retreating figure, torn by conflicting thoughts. He waited until Black Owl was far away before speaking. Securing the dungeon first clear remains our top priority. We'll note this debt and settle it sooner or later. Within the bounds of the starting village, a special protection buff was active. Players killed by others would lose experience, and their equipment durability would decrease. Every high-ranking member of Tyrant Guild owned a full set of bronze tier gear purchased from NPCs. Repairing all of it would cost a substantial amount of gold. For that reason, Shangguan Yinhu chose not to initiate open hostilities now. In his mind, nothing mattered more than claiming the first clear of Gloomy Bunker and earning the Pioneer title. Once he held that title, endless wealth would follow. Still, he etched the grudge firmly into his mind. Black Owl, mark my words. He remained convinced Black Owl's lead was only temporary. After all, Shangguan Yinhu possessed an A-rank talent and commanded the full strength of Tyrant Guild behind him. Ugh, I was hoping for a fight. Yanqin and Yunxiao shook their heads and left, disappointed. At the same time, they felt a flicker of sympathy for Black Owl. How could a lone player hope to stand against an entire guild, especially one as well-funded and staffed as Tyrant Guild? Difficult days surely awaited Black Owl. Black Owl carried a single point of infamy and circled around patrolling militiamen. One point of infamy was not enough to make the village guards actively hunt him. Still, encountering the militia would lead to unnecessary trouble. Infamy at this level would fade automatically over time. Coincidentally, Black Owl planned to spend some time at the blacksmith shop. He pushed open the wooden fence gate and spotted the blacksmith slouched in a rattan chair, looking utterly dispirited. He lifted his eyes listlessly to size up the newcomer upon seeing the adventurer. Sorcerer, if you seek equipment, head to the clothier's shop. I have nothing here suited for you. I am not here to buy gear. I've come to upgrade equipment star ranks. With that, Black Owl pulled out all the materials required for star upgrades, stacking them into a small mound. So many materials? The blacksmith pushed himself up from the rattan chair. These adventurers had only arrived in the world for a single day, yet someone had already neared level 10 and gathered such a stockpile of materials. It was nothing short of incredible. Which piece of equipment do you wish to upgrade? Bring it out so I can see. Black Owl handed over the lawbearer's necklace. This one. Upgrade it straight to 10 stars. Very well. Raising a level 5, 3-star equipment all the way to 10 stars costs 53 gold coins. Hearing the price, Black Owl sighed inwardly. What an expense. And this was merely level 5 equipment, yet star upgrades already cost so much. If not for the 60 gold coin quest reward he had just received from Halora, how long would it have taken him to save enough? Skill transmutation would demand a large sum of gold as well, almost certainly more than the star upgrade. Wealth truly made all the difference. If only he could have brought his vault with him when he returned to the past. The blacksmith hammered away. Before long, the pile of materials was consumed, and the lawbearer's necklace rose from 4 stars to 10 stars. Lawbearer's necklace required level 5 quality, gold star rank, 10 stars. Spirit plus 40 stamina plus 25 spell power plus 120 special effect 1. Restores mana equal to 10 of your maximum mana whenever you deal damage. Staring at the 10 glowing stars beneath the equipment's name, Black Owl felt thoroughly satisfied. Right then, a system notification popped up. The Bloodflame Blade had sold at auction. Shangguan Yinhu was the buyer, with a winning bid of 332 gold coins. With this money, he had more than enough to visit Halora and unlock skill transmutation. He was about to set off when the blacksmith called out to him. Adventurer, I have a favor to ask of you. The blacksmith's rugged features were bathed in orange firelight from the forge. Ding. The 83-84 starting village blacksmith has offered you a quest. Quest issued by the 83-84 starting village blacksmith. Find the blacksmith's daughter. Quest objective. Locate the blacksmith's daughter and bring her back to the smithy. Quest rewards. Gold coins times 20, skill points times 15, one random item determined by items in the blacksmith's possession at quest completion. No penalty for quest failure. To Black Owl, this quest was free rewards waiting to be claimed. First, there were no consequences for failing it. Second, He planned to explore every corner of the starting village tomorrow. By then, apart from special spawn bosses such as the lava giant, other field bosses would begin appearing across wild zones, starting at level 5. Even if Shangwan Inhu and his guildmates stayed up all night, they would only reach level 4 or 5, struggling to fight even the weakest bosses. Black Owl intended to claim every boss he could encounter, all vital resources. He could search for the blacksmith's daughter during this period. After bidding the blacksmith farewell, his single point of infamy faded away with the passage of time. Black Owl tucked the Tier 1 General Skill Book and 329 gold coins away and headed to the sorcerer, Mentor Hilora. Black Owl, have you come to turn in your quest? Hilora had seen the server announcement of him slaying the lava giant. The quest rewarded better loot based on how many boss remains he submitted. If he chose to hand over just one, Hilora could not object. I am not here to submit the quest, Mentor Hilora. I wish to unlock the skill transmutation feature. Skill transmutation? You even know about skill transmutation? Hilora tilted her head and studied Black Owl. Unbelievable. Other novice sorcerers were still haggling to get discounts on beginner skills, yet he sought skill transmutation already. The more she observed him, the more she thought Colonel Kess had finally delivered a promising lead. The quest to investigate traces of the old gods now looked far more hopeful. Black Owl, unlocking skill transmutation requires a great deal of gold. Hilora's words carried an obvious hint. I believe this will suffice. Before Hilora could finish speaking, Black Owl set a sack of gold coins on the counter. The coins clinked and jingled against one another. It is enough. Step closer and close your eyes. Clear your mind. Hilora collected the gold, pressed a fingertip to Black Owl's forehead. Strands of dark power wove through the air, converging at her fingertips before flowing into Black Owl's brow. System notification. You have unlocked the skill transmutation feature. Black Owl opened his skill interface. Alongside skill upgrade and skill forget, a new skill transmutation option had appeared. He selected it, opening the transmutation window. Choose skill for transmutation, loathing decoy. Select materials to insert for transmutation. He could proceed without adding materials, but the direction of the skill's evolution would become wildly unpredictable. Black Owl dragged his other skill Night Assault into the material slot. Skills could indeed be used as transmutation materials. Cost required, 30 gold coins. Success rate, 10. He had just paid Hilora 100 gold coins, leaving him with 229 gold coins, enough for only a handful of attempts. Would you like to spend extra revive coins to raise the success rate? Black Owl glanced at the prompt. Using 5 revive coins would push the probability to 100%, but it was unnecessary. Revive coins were effectively extra lives. Furthermore, using a skill as transmutation material meant the skill would not vanish upon failure. It would only lose a few levels at most. Spending revival coins at this moment is utterly poor value. Initiate transmutation. Dark magic runes materialized out of thin air and spun in place. Transmutation failed. Black Owl was not the least bit surprised. After all, the success rate stood at merely 10%. Initiate transmutation. Transmutation failed. Initiate transmutation. Transmutation failed. After countless attempts, transmutation succeeded. Black Owl cursed inwardly. Finally, he hastened to check the enhanced stats of Abhorrent Decoy after transmutation. Abhorrent Decoy LV.3 consumed 100 maximum mana. Forge a decoy using dark power and curse laws, placing it at a designated spot within 30 meters. The decoy's HP equals 1.2 times the mana consumed. Upon spawning, the decoy releases a taunt aura, continuously drawing the aggression of all enemies within 30 meters and slowing them moderately. Note: the decoy can receive healing, yet it possesses no armor or magic resistance, meaning it takes significantly amplified damage. Cooldown: 30 seconds triggers only once the abhorrent decoy is destroyed. You may destroy it voluntarily. Transmutation bonus 1. After deployment, the decoy periodically casts Shadow Onslaught every 15 seconds. Its range and damage match the base Shadow Onslaught. This was exactly what Black Owl wanted. If he could also acquire means to sustain the decoy's HP, he could create an endless combat loop. Simply deploy the decoy, and it would automatically slay monsters non-stop. Congratulations, Black Owl. Hilora smiled as she stood beside him, genuinely happy for his success. Alright, I have this. Do you have any exchangeable skills available, Instructor Hilora? Black Owl pulled out 1x first-tier general skill tome. Here, these are all the general skill tomes I currently have. See if anything catches your eye. Hilora set a stack of books down on the countertop, stirring up a small cloud of dust. Black Owl examined them one by one. When he reached a certain book, his eyes lit up. Basic mana conversion. Effect: convert 5 of your mana into spell power. This skill was normally optimal for priests, yet it suited Black Owl perfectly. While the conversion ratio was only 5%, Black Owl currently boasted 11,189 mana. 5% amounted to 560 spell power. A full set of level 5 silver equipment only granted roughly 500 spell power in total. Furthermore, thanks to Soul Harvest, Black Owl's mana pool would keep growing rapidly, and his spell power would rise alongside it. The only downside: this skill could not be upgraded directly via skill points. One must learn intermediate mana conversion to replace it entirely. Learn. Congratulations. You have learned the general skill, basic mana conversion. Halora studied Black Owl. Only a single day has passed, yet your spell power and mana are already this extraordinary. Most players won't reach this standard even after a whole month. I can't help wondering how staggering your stats will be by level 20. I will keep pushing forward, Instructor Halora. Black Owl yawned, a wave of exhaustion washing over him. Night had fallen outside the window. Fatigue, hunger, and thirst persisted within the game. Players needed rest, food, and water just as they did in reality. Black Owl was about to speak when Halora acted like an elder sister, noticing her sibling's drowsiness. You look worn out. Rest for the night in that bedroom. She nodded toward a small side chamber. Black Owl blinked, caught off guard. He quickly understood, however. An affinity system existed between NPCs and players. He must have earned enough trust in Halora's eyes to be regarded as an ally. That won't be necessary, surely. You need rest too, Instructor Halora, at this hour. Black Owl replied politely. Me? Halora pointed to herself and let out a helpless chuckle. I still have piles of research to complete. I won't get any sleep for the next 3 days. Very well, thank you then. MHM. Black Owl turned and entered the bedroom. Halora immersed herself in her research, flipping through tomes, tinkering with potions, and scribbling notes on parchment, offering only half-hearted murmurs in response. Early the next morning, Black Owl emerged refreshed after a full night's rest. After bidding Halora farewell, he headed straight outside the starting village. The 3 major guilds had been spamming golden announcements since dawn. They were buying coordinates of field bosses at a generous price, several thousand currency per location. At Poison Vine Grassland, Shangwan Inhu and his group were besieging a level 5 boss. They were battered, and the boss's HP had been whittled down to half. A crowd of onlookers watched with envy, though one party wore obvious resentment. The story was simple. This party had discovered the boss and contacted Tyrant Guild, who were publicly purchasing boss locations via announcements. The group hoped to trade the information for in-game gold instead of real-world cash to buy equipment. This request infuriated Shangwan Inhu and his allies. They immediately engaged the boss, refusing any payment, and even sent their members to slay the information providers once. The discovering party could only seethe helplessly, forced to watch Tyrant Guild claim the boss they had located. With coordinated attacks from Shangwan's team, the level 5 boss's HP steadily declined, soon dropping to 1/5 remaining. Though the group was heavily wounded, excitement shone in their eyes. After half an hour of fighting, victory was nearly theirs. Bosses guaranteed at least silver-tier loot, with a high chance of dropping gold-tier equipment. They already possessed the blazing flame blade. Securing an additional gold-tier piece would push Tyrant Guild far ahead of Misty Rain and Upper Firmament. At that moment, a notification popped up for every member of the party. Alert! Player Black Owl has declared war on you. With the passive basic mana conversion turning 5% of his mana into spell power, bolstered by the Lawbearer Necklace and Deadwood Staff, Black Owl's spell power reached an intimidating 1,095. On the game's second day, this figure was nothing short of despair-inducing for other players. Shadow Onslaught. Black Owl spread his arms wide. Dark power erupted outward in an instant. Shadow Onslaught only carried a 0.3 spell power coefficient, yet Black Owl's overwhelming spell power made up for it completely. 325, 326, 323. Strings of damage values floated into view. Shangwan Baobao, Chimu, and other high-ranking guild members were eliminated before they could react. Only Shangwan Inhu remained standing. He received the most resources, making him the highest level among them at level 4, with superior gear and 530 HP. Even so, barely a sliver of his health bar remained. Black Owl, are you stealing our boss? Shangwan Inhu could scarcely believe his eyes. Who dared seize resources belonging to Tyrant Guild within the game? It was Black Owl again. He had resolved to leave him be for the time being. Yet Black Owl struck first and robbed their boss. Black Owl replied calmly, why not? Are you the only ones allowed to take what you want? A condensed dark blade streaked forward and finished Shangwan Inhu off. 657. Word of the fight had drawn a crowd of onlookers while Tyrant Guild fought the boss. Murmurs erupted the second they saw that damage number. Whoa, did everyone see that? Over 600 damage. My best backstab only hits for 60 damage at most. Is Black Owl the real boss here? Are we even playing the same game? Legendary Black Owl, delivering justice. That shout came from the party who originally found the boss, roared at the top of their lungs. Members of Upper Firmament and Misty Rain snickered within the crowd. Serves Tyrant Guild right. Ha ha, what a relief. I thought once they finished this boss, we'd never catch up. Only Black Owl would dare pull something like this. I'd only ever daydream about it. Ignoring the chatter, Black Owl turned toward the boss. With all its attackers eliminated, the monster lost its aggro and reverted to a neutral state. Poison Boar King, level, 5 HP, 2800 attack, 330 spell power, 150 armor, 90 magic resistance, 60 skills, Tusk Charge, Poison Cloud, Vitality Regeneration. It scraped its hooves restlessly against the ground and let out low growls, ready to charge at any moment. Black Owl hurled a dark blade. 656. The Poison Boar King bellowed and charged straight for him. Tusk Charge. A direct hit would impale the target and drag them along in the beast's rush, an agonizing experience. Black Owl deployed an abhorrent decoy directly behind the Boar King. The monster skidded to an abrupt halt, hooves scraping the earth and kicking up smoke. It spun around and charged the decoy instead. The watching players were thoroughly confused. Why did it turn around? That's a warlock skill, abhorrent decoy. It generates taunt. It's only supposed to tank briefly. Wait a second, how does Black Owl's decoy have over 10,000 HP? The boss only has 2,800 HP total. Before anyone could process the scene, the Boar King crashed into the decoy and exploded into a cloud of blood. 6,407. Silence washed over the crowd. Once Black Owl calmly collected his loot and departed, the spectators burst into an uproar. Over 6,000 damage. Pure true damage. I struggle to land 60 damage per hit. Where's the game balance? Is Warlock this overpowered? I should have picked Warlock. Don't be fooled. The class is terrible. You run out of mana after casting a few skills. I wish I'd learned Abhorrent Decoy too. The skill description never mentions dealing damage. What kind of talent does Black Owl possess? It must be a god-tier talent. Most spectators could not fathom how a Warlock could wield a reflection damage talent. A small handful guessed the truth, yet remained uncertain. Everyone was stunned by the massive damage value and the instant boss kill. They had all watched Shangwan's party struggle against the Poison Boar King and knew how tough the monster was despite its moderate stats. For starters, Tusk Charge had no cooldown. The constant movement made it easy for mages and archers to miss their attacks. Poison Cloud inflicted continuous damage, slow effects, and attack debuffs. Vitality Regeneration was a passive that restored the boss's HP every second. Shangwan's group fought for half an hour, chugging countless potions just to deplete 4/5 of its health. A large portion of their damage even came from the blazing flame blade's burn effect. Black Owl defeated it in a single blow. The disparity was staggering. Starting Village Resurrection Altar. Shangwan Inhu's party had revived. Again Black Owl. He killed me once already, and we never even provoked him this time. Shangwan Bao Bao whined, venom glinting in his eyes. Truth be told, most of the players Tyrant Guild bullied had done nothing to provoke them. My equipment's durability dropped. I can't afford repair fees. I lost experience. I dropped an entire level. Shangwan Inhu remained silent. That 600+ magic damage had hammered home the immense power gap between them. The other guild officers seethed with rage, hurling insults left and right, yet none dared challenge Black Owl. Their gear had cost a fortune, and every death drained durability alongside repair costs. The female assassin Chima noticed Shangwan Inhu's unusual quietness. His eyes were bloodshot, boiling with fury, and he appeared deep in thought. Shangwan Inhu's chest heaved violently. How could someone act so unreasonably? They had poured countless potions into this boss fight, victory nearly within reach. As the officers ranted, a system announcement echoed across the region. Player Black Owl has slain level 5 leader, Poison Boar King. Rewards obtained. First tier Warlock skill tome. Fell Decoy, Venom Dagger gold quality, Poison Mane leather armor gold quality, plus gold coins and abundant experience. Seek out wild leaders scattered across the wilderness. The announcement stoked their anger even further, especially Shangwan Inhu. A Warlock class skill tome. Shangwan Inhu himself only knew 2 skills, one purchased directly from an instructor with gold. 2 pieces of gold-tier equipment, clearly designed as a set. Poison Mane leather armor poisoned anyone who struck its wearer, perfectly suited for warriors. That loot should have been mine. He clenched his fists so tightly his knuckles whitened. He had to confront Black Owl to demand satisfaction. Otherwise, he would find no peace. Meanwhile, members of Tyrant Guild flooded the announcement channel with hateful messages targeting Black Owl. Black Owl had endured far worse and felt no disturbance whatsoever. He listed the Venom Dagger and Poison Mane leather armor on the auction house. Then pulled out the first-tier Warlock skill tome, Fell Decoy, and selected Learn. With a sizable mana pool, this ability was overpowered. Learn. Learning complete. You have acquired Fell Decoy. Black Owl opened his palm and activated Fell Decoy. Dark energy coalesced into a palm-sized figurine shaped in his likeness, rendered in chibi style. As long as the decoy existed, all damage and pain directed at Black Owl would be diverted to the doll. He stowed the Fell Decoy in his inventory, glanced at the public announcements, and shook his head with a faint smile. Still spamming messages, huh? They must have plenty of funds. Their gold farming team was clearly productive. He gathered his belongings and prepared to head toward the next boss location he recalled from his past life. Shangwan Inhu arrived with his entourage. The crowd of onlookers, ready to disperse, halted immediately to watch the confrontation. Having lost the boss and suffered defeat, Shangwan Inhu needed to demand an explanation to preserve his pride and soothe his resentment. Black Owl, I showed mercy when you attacked Bao Bao before and ordered my men to hold back. What about now? We were moments away from killing that boss when you appeared and wiped all of us out. Do you think you can act recklessly just because you possess a powerful talent? Shangwan Inhu shouted sharply, his voice trembling with rage by the end. Black Owl let out a cold chuckle. Act recklessly? Where was that sense of fairness when you threw your weight around to bully others? We never wronged you. Black Owl replied. You haven't crossed me directly, yet I can't stand the sight of you. So what? You. The spoiled tyrant who normally bullied weaker players was left speechless. Only when unreasonable people meet someone equally unyielding do they suddenly start demanding justice. Black Owl walked past him. As their shoulders nearly brushed, fragments of memories from his previous life surfaced. And you did cross me once before. You tricked me over a boss location and refused to pay what you owed. Shangwan Inhu's eyes widened in shock. He exchanged confused glances with Shangwan Bao Bao and Shimo. He spoke with a tone of aggrievement. When did we ever cheat you over a boss? Is Black Owl inventing accusations to justify his actions? This is the first boss we've bought coordinates for today. Could the man who tipped us off be an acquaintance of Black Owl? Black Owl ignored him and kept walking. Inhu stared furiously at his retreating back. Black Owl, your strength lets you get away with this for now, but you won't have peace. From this day onward, we will flood the announcement channel with insults nonstop. Don't imagine you can offend Tyrant Guild without consequences. Nonstop. Black Owl laughed aloud. Having risen from hardship, he understood men like Inhu all too well. He paused and tossed a scornful remark over his shoulder. Empty threats like a quarrelsome child. Nonstop? Very well. If your messages pause for even a single minute, you owe me a public apology. Agreed. You. Inhu froze mid-retort. As Black Owl suspected, he was merely posturing. Golden announcements cost 10 gold coins each. Gold was critical for early game progression. Where would he secure endless funds to sustain continuous broadcasts? Even if he sacrificed all other investments to wage this vendetta, what would it accomplish? Black Owl would leave the starting village upon reaching level 20 and no longer see local announcements. Would Inhu keep shouting insults forever after that? Inhu scanned the surrounding crowd. Players whispered among themselves, mocking his outburst. A wave of overwhelming shame washed over him. His threat sounded utterly childish. Why waste words on you lot? Black Owl grew impatient. He already carried over a dozen infamy points and formally declared war on the entire group. Alert! Player Black Owl has declared war on you. Times 21, watch out. Tyrant Guild members reacted too late. A burst of shadow onslaught wiped out the whole party instantly. You bastard! Inhu, with the highest HP, barely managed half a sentence before Black Owl finished him with a dark blade. Black Owl strode through the crowd openly, now burdened with over 40 infamy points. On the game's second day, more than 30 field bosses would spawn across the starting village wilderness. Black Owl knew the spawn locations, timings, and trigger conditions for nearly 90% of them. He had watched others hunt these bosses in his previous life, even if he had never participated himself. Leaving the crowd behind, Black Owl arrived at a cliffside. The terrain was barren, lined with steep, smooth rock faces. Eagle cries echoed from the sky. Looking upward, numerous eagle-shaped monsters circled high above. One among them was far larger than the rest, the field boss that dominated this territory. Six-winged golden plumage eagle level, 15 boss health points, 28,000 attack power, 600 spell power, 1,400 armor, 400 magic resistance, 300 skills. IPEC, swift movement, lightning strike, wind blade, survival will. This boss possessed quite distinctive traits. It was the first aerial boss players would encounter in the game. In other words, defeating it would be nearly impossible without anti-air capabilities. Pure melee classes such as Shangwan Inhu and Shimu, warriors and assassins, could only land a single hit whenever it swooped down to launch basic attacks. To make matters worse, this creature moved at astonishing speed, and its 4 skills were incredibly troublesome. IPEC paired with swift movement could blind targets. Lightning Strike boasted a short cooldown and high damage, allowing it to sustain long-range assaults until its mana ran dry. Most infuriating of all was Survival Will. When its health dropped below 20%, it gained 10 seconds of crowd control immunity. In his past life, many players brought teams heavy on crowd control, planning to lock the boss on the ground and unleash relentless attacks once it landed. Yet when its health fell to 20%, the six-winged golden plumage eagle would simply spread its wings and fly away. Black Owl chose to challenge it first because its initial defeat granted a first kill reward, an egg. Once hatched and raised, it could serve as a mount, a flying mount. Horses, wolves, and other mounts purchased expensively from NPCs paled in comparison. Black Owl scaled the cliff, climbing 30 meters to settle on a protruding rock ledge. He then summoned an abhorrence decoy atop the cliff summit. The abhorrence decoy had a 30-meter casting range. Its taunt radius and the area of its burst ability Dark Onslaught also spanned 30 meters. Combined with the distance he had climbed, if positioned properly, it could reach the six-winged golden plumage eagle soaring in the sky. A second later, the spherical Dark Onslaught erupted, striking the six-winged golden plumage eagle directly. It let out a sharp cry, and the heavens abruptly shifted. The clear, cloudless sky turned pitch black in the blink of an eye. Magical runes crackling with lightning began to gather overhead. Dark clouds rolled in, and muffled thunder rumbled non-stop within them. Truly worthy of a level 15 boss. Black Owl sighed inwardly, feeling the oppressive weight of primal natural power emanating from above. Boom! A bolt of lightning crashed down without warning, striking the abhorrence decoy dead on. Black Owl could feel the ground tremble beneath his feet. He dared not imagine how agonizing a direct hit would be for a living player. TCH, I'm glad I didn't pick a tank class. Black Owl watched with quiet alarm. The game delivered 100% immersive sensory feedback. 2223. This was the eagle's most devastating attack. Black Owl recalled that in his past life, Shangwan Inhu and his group had been the first to challenge this boss. Back then, he had been an unknown nobody, merely watching the battle from the sidelines. He could no longer remember which day of the game it had been. He only remembered that each member of Shangwan Inhu's party wore complete sets of level 10 golden grade equipment, their stats towering. Yet that single lightning strike drained 3/4 of Shangwan Inhu's health. Their priests scrambled frantically to heal him, and even observing priests rushed over to assist before his health stabilized. This life, however, Black Owl only needed an abhorrence decoy, which held 13,499 health points. The six-winged golden plumage eagle's strongest strike only chipped away a small portion of its health bar. The abhorrence decoy stood firm, unmoved. The instant the decoy took damage, Retribution of Death activated. The six-winged golden plumage eagle shuddered mid-air, coughing up a stream of blood. Black Owl's current spell power rested at 1128. Retribution of Death dealt damage calculated as 100 of incoming damage plus 500 spell power and 500 bonus attack power. As a result, the eagle suffered a massive blow of 7,863 damage. It let out a pained shriek, circling wildly in the sky, temporarily unable to launch attacks. It could not trace where the damage originated, yet the taunt effect remained active. After recovering briefly, the six-winged golden plumage eagle launched its second assault. Its body surged forward, transforming into a blurred streak, hurtling toward the abhorrence decoy. Swift movement. This skill granted the eagle an explosive burst of speed too fast for ordinary eyes to track. While its cooldown was lengthy, it held 3 charge stacks. In other words, it could activate swift movement 3 times consecutively. Paired with the low cooldown IPEC, it could blind 3 targets in an instant. Three dull impacts resounded nearly simultaneously. In less than half a second, the eagle's beak struck the decoy's eyes 3 times with pinpoint precision. But the abhorrent's decoy possessed no eyes at all. 5,897, 5,897, 5,897. At that moment, the six-winged golden plumage eagle only had 2,446 health remaining. Survival will triggered. Golden light wrapped around its body, granting temporary immunity to crowd control. Not good. We're just short of finishing it off. It's going to flee. Black Owl had anticipated this move. Unfortunately, the eagle was now outside the range of his shadow blades, leaving him with few options. Empowered by survival will, the six-winged golden plumage eagle's already monstrous speed surged once more. Without hesitation, it beat its wings and fled. Black Owl leaped onto a boulder and watched from afar. The eagle had already flown far away. At such a distance, it exited combat, and its health bar fully regenerated. The six-winged golden plumage eagle possesses genuine battle intelligence. No one managed to slay it before. Black Owl sighed to himself. No player in his past life had pushed the eagle this far. Shangwan Inhu's party had been wiped out shortly after engaging the boss, never forcing it to activate survival will. He had never known the eagle possessed such tactical awareness. It would retreat when facing an unbeatable foe. What do I do now? Black Owl slumped onto the stone, brainstorming solutions. Once its health fell below 20%, it gained crowd control immunity, and it would run if outmatched. That meant he needed to eliminate it in one burst when its health hovered between 15 and 16%. Yet his taunt and reflection strategy dealt inconsistent damage, dependent on which attacks the eagle chose to unleash. If the eagle opted only for basic strikes, there was little he could do. I have to rely on terrain. Black Owl scanned his surroundings. Terrain kiting was a common tactic in other games, and Eternal Ruins would surely support it. Terrain was one method to counter crowd control immunity. Certain classes could erect walls or pits to trap foes while they remained immune. After all, immunity to crowd control could not let any creature pass through solid rock. Black Owl lacked such abilities, but he could use natural terrain to trap the boss. Though the cliff face appeared bare, scattered caves and rock formations dotted its surface. He soon spotted a cave embedded into the cliff wall and climbed toward it using his scaling skills. Once prepared, he waited patiently. When the six-winged golden plumage eagle swooped low enough, Black Owl placed the abhorrent's decoy inside the cave and hurled a shadow blade toward the eagle. The eagle no longer recognized Black Owl. It let out a cry, and once again, dark clouds blotted out the clear sky. Lightning arced and twisted, striking the abhorrent's decoy deep within the cave. 2,343. At the same time, the six-winged golden plumage eagle jolted, suffering 7983 reflected damage. Taunted, the eagle let out an indignant screech and charged straight into the cave. Black Owl stepped aside cooperatively and slipped outside to wait beside the cave entrance. Trapped inside, the eagle unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks against the decoy. The abhorrent's decoy barely lost health, while the eagle's own health plummeted rapidly. Hiding at the cave mouth, Black Owl silently tallied the damage. Soon, the six-winged golden plumage eagle let out a shrill cry. Black Owl estimated that survival would activate any second. He stepped across the entrance and released a fully charged shadow blade he had been holding. Come on, crash into me. True to his prediction, the eagle grew fearful and attempted to escape. But the cave entrance was narrow, barely wide enough for one person to squeeze through. Desperate to flee, the six-winged golden plumage eagle activated swift movement once again. It took the shadow blade first, a full moon marker floating above its head. 532 unable to swerve in time, it crashed directly into Black Owl. The impact would have instantly killed a level 20 sorcerer. Yet Black Owl was protected by the fell decoy. A dark purple aura flickered across his body. 532 the fell decoy absorbed the blow on his behalf. Black Owl was only knocked backward several steps. 6786 retribution of death's massive reflected damage, amplified by Dark Curse, descended upon the six-winged golden plumage eagle. Uffed. The eagle exploded, leaving only a glimmering golden treasure chest behind. Finally taken care of, Black Owl exhaled deeply. Thanks to the fell decoy, any attack targeting him counted as damage dealt to the decoy. He felt no pain, and his health remained untouched. Congratulations. You have reached level 10. Soul fragments plus 933 obtained. He opened the treasure chest. Storm Plumage Leather Pauldrons Golden Grade obtained Wind, Thunder Plumage Leather Chestguard Golden Grade obtained Chain Lightning Cloak Golden Grade obtained Gold Coins plus 43 obtained. Six-Winged Golden Plumage Eagle remains quest item obtained Banishment Token obtained Six-Winged Golden Plumage Eagle Egg obtained Black Owl's eyes lit up upon seeing the final item. Six-Winged Golden Plumage Eagle Egg can be hatched to produce a six-winged golden plumage eagle chick. There is a chance of mutation. Mutation direction depends on hatching conditions. Among all the rewards, this egg was what Black Owl desired most. It was a flying mount. Ordinary players without rare opportunities or substantial funds would need to reach level 60 before purchasing a flying mount from NPCs. And those mounts were far slower. The six-winged golden plumage eagle chick was different. It possessed a high base flight speed and could be continuously raised as a pet. Moreover, this mount would be unique across the entire server, awarded exclusively for the first kill. No further eggs would drop for players who defeated the boss later. The item description confirmed mutation direction could be controlled by hatching conditions. The six-winged golden plumage eagle had multiple potential mutation paths. For maximum speed, wind or lightning mutation was ideal, with lightning being superior. Mutations aligned with water or earth were far less desirable. A water variant offered minor shape-shifting utility, while an earth variant only increased load capacity and passenger limits. For Black Owl, a solo player, these held no value. Since lightning mutation granted faster flight than wind mutation, he resolved to nurture the egg toward lightning affinity. Sitting within the cave, Black Owl rested his chin in his hand and recalled methods to trigger lightning mutation. First, there was Thunderspine Peak within the starter zone, where lightning elemental energy was denser than anywhere else. Yet this alone was insufficient. It would only raise the odds of lightning mutation to roughly 15%. To boost the probability further, he needed materials rich in lightning elemental power. Lightning element crystals were the perfect choice. Unfortunately, these items were not available for purchase anywhere in the starter zone. Black Owl rubbed his temples in frustration. Should he keep the egg and hatch it later once conditions improved? Still, a mount would bring immense convenience. He would no longer waste time traveling on foot, and his efficiency hunting subsequent bosses would drastically improve, as bosses could no longer easily escape. The fleeting thought to settle for suboptimal results was quickly dismissed. A person came to mind who might help. Helora. His favorability with Helora was already fairly high, and she had allowed him lodging at her residence. Perhaps she could acquire materials unavailable within the starter zone on his behalf. With this plan in mind, Black Owl set off toward the starter village. Along the way, he listed his newly acquired equipment on the auction house. These two pieces were level 15 golden grade armor. While they suited his build, he chose not to keep them. First, he did not lack the stat bonuses they offered. Second, hatching the eagle egg would demand a great deal of gold. Right now, nothing mattered more than accumulating wealth. Payment from his previous auction listings for Venom Dagger and Venom Mane Leather Armor had arrived, totaling 885 gold coins. This sum was nowhere near enough for hatching. Black Owl raised the minimum bid prices for the armor pieces before confirming the auction listings. System announcement. Player Black Owl has slain level 15 boss, six-winged golden plumage eagle, and earned abundant rewards ×3. What? A level 15 boss? I'm only level 2. Black Owl actually soloed a level 15 boss. I struggle fighting ordinary level 3 wild monsters. I can't even imagine how terrifying a level 15 boss's stats must be. The announcement sparked a commotion among players in the starter village. A second announcement sent the three major guilds into a frenzy. Black Owl has listed Storm Plumage Leather Pauldrons Golden Grade. Interested buyers, visit the auction house now. Yinyu. Whoa. Black Owl listed more equipment, and it's part of a set. Yin Xiao. Quick, have the gold farming team pool all their funds. We have to secure these two pieces. Shangwan Inhu. Prepare the gold, hurry. Black Owl carried a heavy sin value. The moment he stepped into the village, militia guards took notice of him. Two obstacles stood in his way. First, all stats belonging to the militia remained unknown, marked as question marks. Second, the militia belonged to the righteous faction. Killing them would alienate most residents of the starter village. Helora's favorability toward him would almost certainly drop, potentially derailing progress on hidden quest lines. Nevertheless, as a reincarnator, Black Owl knew how to handle the militia. He lured the militia squad into an empty alley. Just as the militia captain moved to arrest him and throw him in jail, clatter. A sack of gold landed in the captain's hands. The captain released Black Owl, warning him not to repeat the offense. He also cleared Black Owl's accumulated sin value. Free of pursuit, Black Owl headed to Helora's dwelling. Helora remained absorbed in her research, stirring Black Owl's curiosity about her work. He had asked her before, yet she only smiled mysteriously and refused to elaborate. The truth would reveal itself gradually as he completed quests. Black Owl, you're only level 10, yet you defeated that level 16 boss. Helora set down her books and trotted over to stand before him, looking him up and down. Helora Mentor, I've come to ask a favor. Black Owl spoke plainly. Speak freely. I will help if it is within my power. Helora patted her chest confidently. I wish to purchase lightning element crystals, highest quality available, top grade if possible. Those are advanced materials. What do you need them for? Helora asked. I intend to guide the six-winged golden plumage eagle egg toward lightning mutation. Black Owl saw no reason to hide the truth from her. I see. I do not have lightning element crystals on hand, but the Alchemist Guild holds a large stock. I am on close terms with their guild master. I can secure a discounted price. That would be wonderful, Helora Mentor. As many crystals as you can acquire. Gold is not an issue, though I will need to wait for funds to clear. As he spoke, Black Owl checked the auction house. Amid fierce competition between the three major guilds, bids for the 3 armor pieces had climbed to 2,123 gold coins. Very well. I shall depart immediately to negotiate with the Alchemists Guild for lightning element crystals. Helora returned 2 hours later. By then, all 3 armor pieces had sold, bringing a total of 3,451 gold coins. From the Alchemist Guild, she had acquired 198 intermediate lightning element crystals and 26 high-grade lightning element crystals. The purchase cost over 3,300 gold coins. His purse emptied substantially, yet every coin was well spent. A lightning-mutated 6-winged golden plumage eagle could sell for over 100,000 gold coins in the mid-game. After all, it was a unique flying mount for the entire server. Stowing the materials safely, Black Owl traveled to Thunderspine Peak. The summit stood high, seeming almost within reach of the clouds. Violent winds howled, and thunder boomed continuously. Lightning churned within dark storm clouds overhead. Black Owl recalled a hidden boss spawned in this area, yet he never learned its summoning conditions. He knew the locations and summoning methods for 90% of all Starter Zone bosses, and this hidden foe made up the remaining 10%. Setting aside the mystery for now, Black Owl secured the egg in place and arranged the lightning element crystals all around it. He tapped the Begin Hatching button. The progress bar advanced slowly. Tiny sparks of lightning flickered along it at intervals. A promising sign. The egg's hatching was leaning toward lightning affinity. However, when the progress bar reached 50%, an unexpected disturbance arose. A presence of death. Is that the aura of death? Ah, this energy awakens me. A deep, rumbling voice echoed outward. Black Owl's expression shifted sharply. What? I haven't done anything. How did I awaken a boss? What pure death energy? Could this be a guest of Lord Ernai's? Low, shadowy voices resounded from all directions at once, impossible to trace to a single source. Black Owl quickly pieced together the truth. Could it be the fragment of Death Law? It must be. I visited this peak in my past life, yet this boss never appeared. I never laid eyes on it, not even when the Starter Zone fell in my previous timeline. My innate fragment of Death Law, carried over from my reincarnation, must have roused it. Black Owl felt a mix of shock and excitement. The ground began shaking violently, loose stones tumbling down from the cliffs. Danger, my egg. Black Owl reacted instantly, yet it was already too late. The violent earthquake warped the terrain. The ground split open and heaved upward in jagged mounds. The flat stretch where he had placed the egg collapsed into a small precipice. Fortunately, the egg only sank down onto a rocky outcrop and remained intact. Pale emerald ghost fire flickered from the chasm at the bottom of the drop. The crisp, eerie creak of grinding bones echoed through the air. Black Owl prepared to climb down and retrieve the egg. A skeletal claw the size of a sedan slammed onto the ground without warning, crushing stone beneath its weight. Black Owl jolted backward, combat instinct triggering an automatic leap. The owner of the claw clambered upward, a colossal undead skeleton. Emerald flames burned within its empty eye sockets. It wore a cloak and armor forged from assorted beast bones. In its grasp rested a staff constructed from a human skull and spinal vertebrae, inlaid with multicolored gemstones. Skeletal Overlord level, 25 HP, 125000 attack power, 1290 spell power, 3780 defense, 830 magic resistance, 730. Skills: Lesser Undead Creation, Lesser Undead Augmentation, Soul Scorch, Necro Arrow Barrage, Bone melting punch, instant death immunity, skeletal rebirth. Shattering bone spur, erupting hellfire, first tier frost domain, corrosive poison arrow. Description: an undead sealed away for countless tens of thousands of years. The steady drain of magical power has reduced him to this current strength. Black Owl. This can't be right. If I recall correctly, the strongest boss in the starting village should only be level 20. Where did this level 25 boss come from? Announcement: player Black Owl has accidentally awakened level 25 leader skeletal overlord. All players, march forth to defeat him. ×3. The players of starting village 83-84 were stunned. How much? Level 25? Apart from members of the 3 major guilds, most players are only around level 3 right now. Even assembling a party to fight a level 5 boss ends in defeat 80% of the time. A level 25 boss. No one even dared to imagine such a thing. Inside the Warlock Mentor's office, Halora had been bowed over her books, scribbling notes. The moment the system announcement appeared, she abruptly lifted her head. Has Black Owl lost his mind? How did he wake that creature up? She shot to her feet, sending her wrought-tan chair tipping backward with the force of her movement. She focused her concentration, drawing a magical rune in the air that shimmered with dark violet threads streaked with faint pale blue light. A spatial rift materialized out of thin air. Within the bounds of the starting village at least, this spell allowed Halora to travel anywhere she wished. Mountain Summit. Black Owl reread the monster's description and quickly spotted the key detail. The text stated the boss had been sealed in this place for tens of thousands of years. Perhaps the starting village did not exist here all those millennia ago. In other words, this was never a native boss of the starting village. The village had simply been built atop the seal by pure coincidence. How can luck be this twisted? Black Owl's eyes widened. The towering skeletal overlord stirred, his frame comparable to a small hill. He swept his gaze over Black Owl and let out a dismissive snort. So insignificant. You are not worthy of my personal attention. Rise, my soldiers. The hour to reclaim our kingdom is at hand. He waved his bony claw as he spoke. The next instant, Black Owl heard a sound that sent chills crawling up his spine, the endless grating of countless bones rubbing against one another. He stepped to the cliff edge and peered downward. Within seas of emerald flame, scattered bones began assembling themselves, forming skeleton warriors. These skeletons came in numerous varieties. Some wielded swords and shields, others daggers, bows and heavy tower shields, and a small number clutched magic wands. They ranged from level 15 to 18, with stats superior to ordinary wild monsters of the same level in the starting village. Each skeleton finished assembling in less than a second, then scrambled upward along the cliff face at startling speed. The drop from summit to base spanned well over 100 meters, yet these skeletons could climb it in 10 seconds flat. Soon, the claws of the vanguard dug firmly into the cliff rim. The lead skeletal assassin activated invisibility, vanishing from Black Owl's sight. Black Owl remained calm, protected by his fell substitute. Moments later, damage numbers floated above his head, 1132. But the skeletal assassin was struck in return for 7167 true damage. The invisible assassin never reappeared intact. It exploded into a pile of broken bone shards right behind Black Owl. The skeletal overlord froze. He was shocked not only by how quickly the assassin had perished without a clear cause, but also by the fact these skeletons were normally able to reassemble after death. This time, they did not. Slain skeletal assassin. Experience plus 350 overage kill bonus. Soul shards plus 142. Seeing more and more skeletons climbing toward him, Black Owl stepped backward and summoned the abhorrent substitute. A low hum echoed as the abhorrent substitute's taunt aura and shadow onslaught unfurled. It halted half a meter away from the skeletal overlord. Black Owl had judged the distance perfectly. The overlord remained outside the taunt radius. All the skeletons that had charged toward Black Owl, knocked arrows to shoot him, or slipped into stealth to ambush him, abruptly shifted their targets toward the substitute. What manner of creature is this? The skeletal overlord wondered inwardly. He watched hordes of skeletons rush mindlessly to attack the abhorrent substitute and then self-destruct. Strangest of all, the shattered skeletons could not reform afterward. A storm of attacks poured onto the abhorrent substitute, granting Black Owl a brief reprieve. Still, the sheer number of skeleton soldiers was overwhelming. Though the substitute possessed massive HP, its health dwindled rapidly as skeletons continuously exploded upon striking it. Black Owl's experience bar climbed rapidly, and he realized these skeletons granted generous experience upon death. He promptly activated the double experience card from his inventory doubling all experience gains. Boom. A beam of leveling light crashed down, and Black Owl rose to level 10. His experience bar continued surging upward. At that same moment, the abhorrent substitute's HP hit 0. It burst into a cloud of purple mist, entering its 30-second cooldown. The skeletons immediately refocused all their firepower onto Black Owl. Fortunately, the fell substitute still stood ready. Arrows, blades, spells, and more crashed relentlessly against Black Owl. Yet all damage and crowd control effects were redirected to the fell substitute. This summoner-type foe counters me somewhat. Could this be where I meet my first defeat? Trapped amid the dense crowd of skeletons, Black Owl watched the fell substitute's health plummet, knowing it would not survive long enough for the abhorrent substitute to refresh. Suddenly, a swirling dark purple fissure tore open the air beside him. A slender hand stretched out and dragged Black Owl through. Several skeletons close by surged into the rift after him, but the portal sealed instantly, slicing many of them clean in two. Halora possessed surprising strength, and she pulled Black Owl off balance in her haste. So the first thing Black Owl saw after crossing the spatial rift was a pair of purple leather boots. Huh. Black Owl blinked and lifted his head. He beheld a striking woman with waist-length hair and a height of 175 centimeters, casually crushing any skeletons that chased them down. Mentor Halora, what brings you here? He stood and brushed dust off his clothes. Halora muttered a string of quiet complaints. You are absolutely reckless. Do you know the skeletal overlord wields Soul Scorch? Dying to soul damage costs far more revival tokens. I never even knew how to rouse this boss, and you managed to wake him. I cannot believe you. Black Owl understood the game rule. Players slain by attacks that harmed the soul needed extra revival tokens to return. He spread his hands helplessly. It was purely an accident. I didn't mean to free him. I'm glad I saw the announcement. Well, the crisis is temporarily averted. Focus on leveling for now, and stay far away from the ridge summit. Halora appeared visibly relieved, bound by the game's rules. As an NPC, she could not directly resolve most threats. Such tasks had to fall to players. Among this generation of adventurers, Black Owl's talents stood out, and she had already marked him as a key ally in her plans. Black Owl burned with frustration at her words. This was a level 25 boss. Its loot would be an unimaginable fortune for a level 10 player. More importantly, the egg was still up there. Could he ask Halora to intervene? Halora could undoubtedly slay the skeletal overlord in an instant. Yet game mechanics meant Black Owl would receive only a fraction of the rewards if she delivered the killing blow. The abhorrent substitute's cooldown was far too long, and leveling the skill would not reduce its cooldown duration. After racking his brains, Black Owl suddenly came up with a plan. He asked, Mentor Halora, do you own any second-tier Warlock spellbooks? Second-tier Warlock spellbooks? Naturally I do. Halora stared in surprise. Shadowblade and Shadow Onslaught were both first-tier spells, available to learn starting from the new player zone. They were not prohibitively expensive. Purchasing them directly from the mentor cost a little over 100 gold coins. Tiers 1 through 4 counted as lesser magic, with low learning requirements accessible even without job advancement. But second-tier spells cost far more, starting at well over 1,000 gold coins. Halora could not fathom why Black Owl would ask about such spells at this moment. Mentor Halora, do you have the second-tier Warlock spell Phantom Substitute? If you do, sell it to me. It was a mana-intensive skill with an incredibly powerful mechanic. For other Warlocks, the constant mana drain made it impractical, as they struggled to sustain their mana reserves. For Black Owl, however, Phantom Substitute. Halora pulled a spellbook out of her storage space with a slightly dazed expression. I do have this one. I traded for it from a friend some time ago. Then she snapped out of her daze and clutched the book tightly to her chest, as if fearing Black Owl would snatch it. Wait, you want to buy it? This is worth no less than 2,200 gold coins. Halora doubted Black Owl possessed that kind of wealth. She had seen his purse nearly emptied after he paid her for the lightning elemental crystals previously. I don't have 2,200 gold right now, but the skeletal overlord does. Halora shot him a disdainful glance. You want to use a spell I sell you to defeat the boss, then pay me back with treasure looted from him? That's pure speculation with no upfront capital. Ahem, do not phrase it like that. Black Owl began his persuasive pitch, speaking rapidly. Think about it. Very few players choose the Warlock class. Apart from me, how many other Warlocks could afford a second-tier spell? Once everyone hits level 20 and departs the starting village, this spellbook will rot away in your storage. Since it may never sell, why not offer it to me on credit? Admittedly, I cannot pay immediately, but once I master this spell and defeat the skeletal overlord, I will have plenty of gold. Furthermore, Captain Kes still requires my assistance for his upcoming plans. That means growing stronger directly benefits your schemes, does it not? This deal is risk-free for you. What reason do you have to refuse? His reasoned argument made Hilora begin to see his point. Even most adventurers who reached level 20 would not carry 2,200 gold. Even those who had the funds might never come to her seeking spellbooks. Once adventurers left the starting village after level 20, the book would likely never find a buyer. Very well. You make a compelling case. Here you go. Hilora convinced herself she had struck a reasonable bargain. Thank you, Mentor Hilora. Black Owl took the book and immediately chose to learn the spell. While the biggest paying players only possessed 3 skills, Black Owl now mastered 6, including a second-tier spell. Black Owl, you may delay repayment, but I urge you to reconsider fighting the skeletal overlord. Hilora believed, even with Phantom Substitute, his odds of victory were slim. With 125000 HP, a level 10 warlock could never deplete its health bar no matter how long he fought. I hold an 80% chance of success, Mentor Hilora. Please send me back. Very well, do as you will. Hilora sighed and opened a spatial rift for him. Black Owl stepped through. When he emerged once more, he stood atop Ridge Summit again. Layers of white bones carpeted the ground, and countless skeletons wandered across the peak. Unlike ordinary wild monsters in the starting village, these creatures did not wait to be attacked before retaliating. The instant Black Owl set foot on the land, bone joints creaked loudly, and waves of skeletons surged toward him. Worm, you dare return. Soldiers, slay him. The skeletal overlord had not expected Black Owl to come back. He waved his massive claw, and thousands of skeletons charged forward in a frenzy. Black Owl remained calm and summoned the abhorrent substitute, sending it straight toward the skeletal overlord. There were far too many skeletons to eliminate one by one. Targeting the boss directly was the only viable path. He no longer feared the overlord smashing the substitute and turning his full strength against Black Owl afterward. Black Owl had slain hordes of skeletons earlier, gathering 4,977 soul shards. As a result, his abhorrent substitute's maximum HP now reached 20,662. A low hum rippled outward as the taunt aura expanded, ensnaring the skeletal overlord and every skeleton in range. Taunt within this game warped the target's perception. Enemies never realized they were under a taunt effect. Their minds rationalized their unrestrained aggression as their own free will. Die! Emerald green flames flickered wildly in the skeletal overlord's eye sockets. He lost control of his own actions and unleashed bone-melting punch into the mass of skeletons before him. 11340, and the skeletal overlord suffered a counterblow of 18,620 true damage. What is this? How can such immense damage be reflected back at me? The blow jolted the skeletal overlord out of his taunted state. Still, the abhorrent substitute could not withstand the endless skeleton horde combined with the overlord's devastating 3.0 spell power amplified strike. It shattered into purple mist and entered cooldown. Kill him. Enraged, the skeletal overlord strode toward Black Owl alongside his skeleton army, beginning to channel magical spells. Seeing this, Black Owl activated Phantom Substitute, entering a mana-consuming untargetable state to wait for the abhorrent substitute's cooldown. Summoning the abhorrent substitute earlier had drained all his mana, yet the constant stream of incoming attacks triggered repeated counterdamage. His mana-restoring necklace activated continuously, replenishing his reserves. Within mere seconds, his mana was fully restored once more. The mana drain of Phantom Substitute would cripple other warlocks, but Black Owl's maximum mana had climbed to 19,596. The upkeep cost barely registered to him. Boom. The ground split open, and a massive bone spur erupted upward, piercing straight through Black Owl's form. The skeletal overlord grew confused. Why had the human not been torn apart as expected? He watched as every strike from the skeleton soldiers passed harmlessly through Black Owl's body, dealing no damage whatsoever. Untargetable. He possesses such a spell. The skeletal overlord halted his own attacks and ordered the skeletons to keep striking. Human, I wonder how long your untargetable state can persist. He let out a cold laugh. Within his understanding, untargetable effects were incredibly powerful and could never be sustained for long. 5 seconds passed, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The skeleton's attacks still failed to land. This cannot last so long. What spell is this? The skeletal overlord was overcome with disbelief. At that moment, the abhorrent substitute's cooldown finished. Black Owl waved his hand, and shadow energy coalesced into another abhorrent substitute directly before the skeletal overlord. Not this creature again. The skeletal overlord snarled with revulsion. He could destroy it in several hits, yet the reflected damage stung terribly. He could not comprehend the nature of this strange ability. A hum rolled out as the taunt aura and shadow onslaught washed over the area in an instant. The skeletal overlord's perception warped. In his mind, he fought Black Owl directly. There were no substitutes, no taunt magic at all. His sole obsession was to destroy the human standing before him with every ounce of power he possessed. Thus, in reality, the skeletal overlord unleashed spell after spell onto the abhorrent substitute. The previous abhorrent substitute had eliminated countless skeletons, earning Black Owl vast experience and soul shards. He leveled up to 11 and gained an additional 4,347 maximum mana. This new abhorrent substitute boasted even greater health, reaching 28,804 HP. For this reason, it endured far longer, only collapsing after 10 seconds. Crash. As the second abhorrent substitute dissipated, the skeletal overlord's HP plummeted to just over 30,000. Curse you! What are you? How can a mere level 11 human wield such destructive power? The skeletal overlord roared. Logically, an 11th level human should be crushed easily by his skeleton army without him needing to lift a finger. Yet here he stood, a level 25 boss, on the verge of being slain by this single player. In a solo battle. And there was nothing he could do to stop it. 30 seconds ticked by. Black Owl's gaze sharpened as he summoned the third abhorrent substitute. That creature again. Trapped under taunt, the skeletal overlord unleashed a relentless barrage of spells. Erupting Hellfire, Soul Scorch, Erupting Hellfire, First Tier Frost Domain, Corrosive Poison Arrow, Necro Arrow Barrage, colorful magic swirled all around the abhorrent substitute. Shortly afterward, Black Owl watched the skeletal overlord raise his enormous skeletal fist. Emerald green flames gathered upon the fist and began compressing tightly. Black Owl had witnessed this attack back before Halora pulled him away. Bone Melting Punch. It was the skeletal overlord's most damaging skill, bolstered by a 300 spell power multiplier. It also dealt area of effect damage, though it required a brief channeling time. A smirk tugged at Black Owl's lips. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. The skeletal overlord's fist slammed downward, wrapped in emerald flame and crushing pressure. The surrounding air rippled and warped from the intense heat. At the same time, Black Owl deactivated Phantom Substitute and ordered both the Fell Substitute and Abhorrent Substitute to take the full brunt of the blow. Boom. Both the Fell Substitute and Abhorrent Substitute took 11,340 damage. This single strike subjected the skeletal overlord to double reflected damage. Coupled with the 10 damage amplification from Shadow Blade, Black Owl's damage output peaked at this exact moment. 22,512. 22,512. HP depleted. The skeleton lord's body rapidly withered away, like an ancient edifice crumbling from erosion. No, I have only just returned to this world. System announcement. Player Black Owl has defeated World Boss Skeleton Lord LV.25. Loot obtained. Bone Prison Staff Platinum Grade. Rotbone Crown Platinum Grade. Corpse Pattern Robe Gold Grade. Withered Bone Sash Gold Grade. Marrow Core Pendant Gold Grade. Expulsion Order ×6. Double EXP Card ×2. Gold Coins ×200. An uproar swept through the novice village. The long list of rewards made every player's eyes burn with envy. Holy hell, am I dreaming? Black Owl took down a level 25 boss. I'm only level 3. How can Black Owl solo a level 25 boss? I struggle just fighting level 5 wild monsters alone. The members of Shangwan Silver Fox's party felt utter despair upon seeing the news. They had always believed that with their numbers and wealth, the gap between them and Black Owl would gradually shrink. Yet they grinded nonstop and only reached level 6 to this day. Their party could easily wipe while challenging a level 6 boss. Following the death of the venomous Boar King, that was already the lowest tier boss available in Novice Village. Still, Black Owl had always remained a solo player with no guild affiliation. Moreover, the final dungeon, Gloomy Bunker, required a minimum of 300 players to unlock. No matter how strong Black Owl grew, he could not compete against them for the first clear of Gloomy Bunker. Since sending Black Owl off, Halora had been distracted and uneasy. She made repeated mistakes during her experiments and nearly burned down her residence. She was currently holding a broom, sweeping up shattered glassware on the floor. When she glanced up and read the system announcement, the broom slipped from her grasp and clattered onto the ground. He actually pulled it off. This Black Owl's potential far surpasses my expectations. Thankfully, he's on our side. Summit of Spine Ridge Mountain. Obtained Soul Fragment, plus 2,300 congratulations. You have reached level 12. Black Owl briefly inspected the equipment drops. First off, all of them required level 30 to equip, far beyond his current level. Second, his stats had already inflated to an absurd degree. The attribute bonuses offered by these items held little appeal for him. One piece of gear, however, caught his interest. Bone Prison Staff Equip Level 30 Equip Requirement. Spell power greater than or equal to 1,500 grade. Platinum Star Tier. 10 stars effects. Spell power plus 720 mana plus 1,620 spirit plus 200 casting speed plus 1 movement speed plus 2 death energy resistance plus 15. Special effect. Can be actively activated to summon a wall of skeletons. 5 charges 30-second cooldown skeleton wall HP equals caster's spell power times 10 skeleton wall length equals caster's spell power times 0.02 meters skeleton wall height equals caster's spell power times 0.02 meters. Black Owl decided to keep the Bone Prison Staff for himself. It granted massive spell power and spirit stats, and its special ability offered strong utility. As for the remaining equipment, selling them right now would not fetch a decent price. He would hold on to them for later. After hastily sorting through his rewards, Black Owl jumped off the cliff without hesitation to retrieve the 6-wing golden griffin egg. It would be a devastating loss if the egg sustained damage from the earlier battle. Only the first kill of the 6-wing golden griffin dropped this egg. No amount of subsequent hunts against the beast would yield another one. Thankfully, Black Owl picked up the egg and examined it. It was completely unharmed. Its incubation progress stood at 100%. He could feel the egg gently shifting beneath his fingers, warm to the touch. Clearly, a young life was ready to break free. Black Owl tapped the button to complete incubation, his heart racing. He hoped it would mutate into a lightning attribute variant. Crack the eggshell split open. A small creature poked its head out from the fragments, curiously observing its surroundings, then tilted its head to stare at Black Owl. Ancient, cryptic runes marked its body from birth. When Black Owl gave it a light pat, arcs of lightning crackled between its feathers. 6-wing golden griffin mutated level, 1 attribute, lightning. It worked. Joy surged within Black Owl. A lightning attribute mutation meant it would grow into one of the fastest mounts in the future. Yet Black Owl's celebration was cut short by an abrupt twist of fate. Black Owl sensed warmth rapidly fading from the creature in his hands. The comforting warmth vanished in an instant, leaving it icy cold, as if he clutched a block of ice. The 6-winged golden griffin's form began to shift. It went limp and lifeless in his grasp, its body swiftly decaying. Sections of its wings, claws, and skull turned to exposed bone. Black Owl. It's dead? I didn't do anything at all. Shock quickly turned to distress. He had worked so hard to obtain this egg and spent countless materials. The newly hatched griffin had barely lived a moment before perishing. As Black Owl frowned in confusion, the rotting 6-winged golden griffin suddenly fluttered one wing. It shook off the broken eggshell and took flight on its bony wings before Black Owl's stunned eyes. I see now. It absorbed overwhelming death energy during incubation and mutated into an undead creature. Black Owl watched the flying griffin in astonishment. As an undead variant, it no longer needed to breathe, allowing travel underwater and survival in other extreme environments. It possessed unlimited lifespan and did not require regular nourishment. Its flight speed, however, paled in comparison to a pure lightning attribute variant. Black Owl sighed to himself. One cannot have everything perfect. An undead griffin still worked as a flying mount, at the very least. Come along, little one. I'll take you to level up. Black Owl stretched out his arm, gesturing for the 6-winged golden griffin to land. The fledgling possessed decent intelligence. It glanced at Black Owl's arm and instantly understood his intention, fluttering down to perch upon it. Right then, another unbelievable transformation unfolded. Its decaying flesh regenerated, restoring its living form, while the lightning runes on its body reappeared. You're a dual attribute variant? Black Owl exclaimed in elation. He never imagined the combined influence of the Skeleton Lord's undead aura and lightning elemental crystals would trigger such a rare dual-form mutation for the 6-winged golden griffin. The 6-winged golden griffin nuzzled Black Owl affectionately. He grinned and stroked its plumage. All right, I'll name you Shuang Shuang. Shuang Shuang was barely larger than his palm and could not be ridden yet. It needed to level up to grow bigger. Black Owl planned to take it grinding immediately. Many skeleton soldiers still lingered atop the cliff, and his double EXP card still had 20 minutes remaining. Black Owl nimbly climbed back up the cliff. Shuang Shuang tried to assist, but it was far too small. It could only attempt to tug at Black Owl's collar out of eagerness. The skeleton soldiers summoned by the skeleton lord did not vanish after their master's defeat. These skeletons were levels 18 to 19, and defeating them granted far more experience than ordinary level 20 wild monsters, perfect for leveling Shuang Shuang and himself. The moment Black Owl reached the cliff summit, the mindless skeletons froze briefly before charging toward him. With the skeleton lord slain, Black Owl paid these minions no mind. He summoned his abhorrent decoy, then sat aside to rest alongside Shuang Shuang. Wave after wave of skeletons rushed forward, only to shatter into bone fragments. After the grueling earlier battle, his abhorrent decoy now boasted 31,564 HP. The skeleton soldiers could no longer break through its durability easily. Defeated skeleton soldier. EXP plus 720 overage kill bonus double EXP card active. Obtained soul fragment plus 61 times 33. Congratulations. Your pet Shuang Shuang has reached level 2. Congratulations. Your pet Shuang Shuang has reached level 3. You have reached level 13. Congratulations. Your pet Shuang Shuang has reached level 5. As levels rose, Shuang Shuang steadily grew larger, soon maturing into a giant raptor with a wingspan spanning over 10 meters. Congratulations. Your pet Shuang Shuang has reached level 6. Your pet Shuang Shuang has learned the skill, Giant Claw Grab. Oh, it unlocked a new skill. Black Owl opened the skill description. Giant Claw Grab. Usable form. Undead form effect. Enlarges bone claws, enabling it to seize prey far larger than itself and lift them into flight. Grappling strength scales with the pet's strength stat. Solid ability with great utility. I could use it to snatch high-level wild monsters and drop them near other players, for example. That way others get pulled into danger, and I won't accumulate any sin value. Brilliant skill. Achoo! Shangwan's silver fox sneezed. The three major guilds remained busy. Getting revenge on Black Owl was still far beyond their reach for now. Taking him on would be less feasible than forming a party to hunt a level 20 boss. The three guilds were currently assembling raid teams to prepare for the first clear of Gloomy Bunker. Each raid group contained 600 players, the dungeon's maximum participant limit. A total of 1,800 players from the three guilds flooded wild monster zones, frantically competing for spawns. Monster spawns were a valuable resource. Whoever controlled dense monster zones would level far more efficiently. Beyond that, they assigned dedicated members to monitor the auction house and item NPC vendors. Any equipment, skill books, or skill point scrolls listed on the auction house or restocked by merchants were instantly bought up. Ordinary players suffered heavily as a result. Nearly 90% of high-efficiency leveling zones were occupied. Vital equipment on the auction house and from NPCs was bought out entirely. Regular players struggled to upgrade their gear, stunting their combat power growth, making even same-tier wild monsters difficult to defeat. Furthermore, Shangwan Silver Fox, Shangwan Bao Bao, and their allies never tolerated losses. Though they dared not directly confront Black Owl after their bitter defeat, they often vented their frustration on ordinary players out in the open world. Right now, Shangwan Bao Bao was leveling in a monster zone. He glanced over toward a low-level spawn area, where a small party had just finished clearing a pack of monsters. Nice. Almost level 5 now. Truly not an easy grind. This game is incredible fun. If we keep pushing hard. The party captain and teammates celebrated, thrilled at the prospect of leveling soon. For some reason, the sight irritated Shangwan Bao Bao. He gathered several companions and marched toward the group. The party spotted them approaching.